Good morning, race fans. Welcome to today's Metro Ford Cup Series event here at the virtual Chicagoland Speedway. I'm James East with Mason Heimbaugh, presenting today by Team Goon Squad Broadcasting, pushing the action 1080p, 60 frames a second. Our first time here with the Old Bashers Racing gentlemen, expecting a lot of good times today. Mason, how excited are you to call an event with so many talented drivers out on the field today?
James, I'm pretty excited to be here tonight. I think we're going to see a lot of really good racing out of these guys. I mean, a lot of these guys are very experienced when it comes to racing, whether it's in real life or even in the virtual space. It's really awesome to see these guys come together and put on some really awesome races. And these guys have been doing it for quite some time, so I'm really excited to be here and watch these guys put on a show for us tonight.
Yeah, one of the more unique leagues I think we've had the pleasure of broadcasting for. Minimum age 35 years old is the minimum to get out here with the Old Bastards Racing crew. A couple of different things that are very unique about them. They're very peculiar on how many penalties they allow during a race. Incident limit is 9 on oval, 17 on road courses. They only use iRacing cautions, and for no matter the reason, they do not clear black flags. A couple other unique things these guys have going on in Manufacturers Cup. Right now, Toyota's leading the manufacturer's chase with 696 points. Chevy in a very tight race for second. They've got 685 points. And then the Ford boys lagging behind a little bit with 626 points. But as you know, it just takes one bad week for some other guys to get your way back up there.
Absolutely. Yeah, you hit the nail right on the head there, James. It's all it takes is, one of these teams to have a bad week and another team to have maybe just a little bit of a break in the season, and that's all it takes to kind of help your team sort of work your way up the ladder again. And it's always really interesting to see what happens throughout these series, because you never really know what's going to happen. You might have a team that's doing really well, performing really strong in the first portion of the series, and then as time progresses, you just sort of maybe see them fall off a little bit, another team take over. It's all very interesting.
Yeah, a lot of good back and forth, especially from the race results we've seen prior to today at Chicagoland. Something else interesting I don't think I've seen before. There's a couple, I think we have one driver out there with a triple-digit number. That's Jonathan Green in the 111. A triple-digit number here at the OBRL signifies a rookie driver trying to get out of their probationary period. So you will not see Jonathan Green take to the track for his single-car qualifying. It is mandatory that he starts towards the back of the pack, run some races, and prove that he has what it takes to stay here with OBRL.
And that's something that you don't really see in a whole lot of different other leagues too, as far as, I guess you could say, sort of like an onboarding process where these drivers are sort of required to kind of, start in the back and let the other drivers actually race, and kind of more so just give maybe the admin sort of an idea of what you are going to be like in the series and see if you're going to be a good fit. It's all these leagues have different ways of how they bring in new racers into their leagues, and I think this is just one other unique way that leagues do it.
And yeah, this is the premier racing class that OBRL puts on. Mondays they've got ARCA, Wednesdays they've got trucks, and Thursdays they have Xfinity. And even when they're not racing, filling in those gap days, Sunday, Tuesday, Friday, Saturday, they're out there practicing and doing fun runs with each other. So always cool to see all these guys run multiple leagues, or not leagues, seasons within the league, and everybody out there doing what they can. And they also have an incident per lap minimum as well, maximum. Their maximum IPL, incidents per lap, 0.031. So these guys are trying to do their best to keep the racing clean. They'd rather have 30 really talented drivers instead of a field full of 40 drivers that find themselves crashing into each other more often than not.
Yeah, and you're right, James. And it's from a spectator's point of view, from a commentating point of view, it's everyone loves to see crashes. Everyone loves to see those big pileups. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of leagues out here in the virtual space that you kind of see just kind of whoever coming into the field, and you might have people that are intentionally wrecking others. You might have people that are just not all that experienced with iRacing in general. And it's nice to see that leagues like this are really putting their foot down and saying, hey, you should at least know what you're doing. You should be experienced in what you're coming into, and not being a nuisance, I guess you could say.
Yeah, everybody wants to race clean. Your spare time is precious. A lot of these guys still working. Some of them are retired and have a little bit more time to play. But I mean, these guys came out on July 4th morning to race virtual cars with their online friends. As we see Patrick Milligan, Metro Ford sponsored number 18 machine, puts it on top of provisional pole with a 35.9, just edging out Steve the Mule Thompson, the number 67 Toyota.
Yeah, and we're seeing some pretty solid qualifying times being put down here right now. Looks like Patrick Mulligan has the best. He's actually tied with Steve Thompson at a 30.59 lap time, and that's, when you have lap times that are that close to each other, it's really interesting to see what's going to happen in the front of the pack, how that battle is going to play out. It's are we going to see a lot of trading between the first and second positions, or are we going to see kind of just a constant battle for whoever? It's always interesting to see that happen.
Yeah, it's a tough one to guess on. We haven't really called these races yet. We're new to this series as well. These drivers are with each other 4 or 5 days a week, bumping and banging. But I think the biggest thing with how they have their incident points and minimum age and just all these requirements that lead to good, clean racing, you surround yourself with guys you can trust, to push, and that they'll push you properly, and then hopefully lead to cleaner racing. But if I'm a betting man, I think if we're going to have any cautions, it'll be early on, and then we're going to stretch this field out just a little bit, start seeing some good, clean green flag runs as the track starts to develop.
Yeah, and I think what we're going to start seeing now too is, it probably won't happen right now. Obviously, we're still in qualifying here, but what I'd like to see happen sort of in the first few opening laps here is maybe not so much. Well, I assume there will be some aggression, for some pushing to try and gain some positions right out of the gate. But what I would really like to see is some strategy as far as how they plan to take on this race and how they plan to stay in it for as long as they can.
Yeah, strategy is definitely going to be key here. We did a little bit of math of talking to different crew chiefs before qualifying. It looked like pit window is going to be anywhere between lap 50 and 60, more likely 59. Some of the drivers said, hey, we can't stretch it to 60 as much as we want to. But it looks like we're going to start seeing cars coming around lap 50 to 60 for fuel. Unlimited tires here today, so every time you see these guys taking full fuel, you can also expect 4 new Goodyears on that race machine. But it's about time to go grid up here at Chicagoland. Up front, you've got Tom Ogle starting on pole, Patrick Milligan in second, Steve Thompson starting third, Josh Robinson fourth. Dwayne MacArthur, our fastest polling Canadian, will be starting fifth. Andrew Hess starting sixth, Travis Rogers seventh, Brian Glass eighth, Dakota Pischke in ninth, Gary Kipper starting 10th, Mike Schrader 11th, Craig McDaniel in 12th. Then you've got Brian Lynch starting 13th with the Wolfpack Racing Machine. Ed Post starting 14th. Dean Greer 15th. Al Turner starting 16th tonight. Lewis Albee 17th. Dodd Hoskins in 18th. Rob Rogers will be starting 19th. Chris Scales starting 20th. Bruce Pearson starting 21st. Pete Cocoa Puffs in the number 3 machine will be starting 22nd. Michael Everett starting 23rd. Ken Huff starting 24th. Then you've got John Hastings starting 25th, Brian Lindsay starting 26th, and our rookie, Jonathan Green, will be starting 27th tonight. But we're going to take to the field and get ready to go racing 195 laps here at Chicagoland with the Old Bastards Racing League Metro Ford Cup Series.
Let's get excited, everyone. We're going to have an awesome race today. It's going to be 195 laps of just pure, raw racing talent. It's going to be awesome to see. And it's going to be on the 4th of July, and I hope everyone is going to have an excellent today if you are celebrating it. And let's start off today with an excellent race here with these guys in Old Bastard Racing League.
Racing and barbecue. Does life get any better? If our fans, friends, family are watching along at home and you've got a driver you're cheering for, please let us know. We love to hear it. The drivers love to see them getting cheered on by friends and family. But we're going to get ready. The pace car is rolling here at Chicagoland. It'll be one warm-up lap. Tom Ogle, Patrick Milligan, all eyes on the front row as we get ready to Patrick Milligan in the lonely Ford up there, surrounded by Toyotas and Chevys. The next highest qualifying Ford was Dakota Pischke, starting 9th today. So you're going to try and see a lot of Fords working together, trying to get up front. They want to dethrone Toyota. They want to dethrone Chevrolet and get those Fords back up front. It is a Ford Series, so they want to win that Manufacturers Cup as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It would be very important to see the Ford team come out on top here in this series. It's like you said, it's the Ford Series, the Ford Cup Series, excuse me, and to sort of see the Ford team kind of lagging behind a little bit, it's a little disappointing. But hopefully, this will give them a little bit of a drive, a little bit of energy to sort of kind of put on some sort of effort here to hopefully regain some of those points and get themselves back up at top. But pace car is in. We are getting started here. Tom Ogle is leading out front in the number 11 car with Steve Thompson and Patrick Milligan closely behind him. Everyone else is following double file behind them going into...
Ogle gets a great launch. His best finish of the season, or his most recent best finish, was at Kansas, where he got a first place. He does have a couple wins here in the OBRL Metro Ford Cup Series. Last week, second place at Nashville Oval after leading 175 laps, so falling just a little bit short, but starting to see some good, clean racing so far tonight.
Yeah, so far we're seeing just really, really clean racing. No one's really kind of pushing on each other to kind of put an emphasis on that bump draft, if you will. Everyone's kind of giving each other a nice little bit of space. They're not getting too close to one another, and I always love to see that, because you see it in a lot of other series where drivers are just following way too closely to one another, and that usually is the biggest problem with those series, is that they just end up with a bunch of yellow flag incidents, and this is so far turning out to be a very excellent race. And Tom Ogle all the way out front, just putting a huge gap between the rest of the pack.
Yeah, behind him you've got Patrick Milligan, Steve the Mule Thompson battling for second place. So they're going too wide for several laps in a row, trying to get the kinks worked out, but they're pushing hard, while Tom Ogle is just out front, leading comfortably at this point. As second place is a three-way battle. Patrick Milligan shows edging out Steve Thompson right now, but here comes Dwayne MacArthur. He's watching these cars go too wide in front of him. See if he's going to get a hole punch through or not, and just like that, they break down single file as they go down the backstretch of Chicago and start clicking off some more laps here.
And they're just doing a great job, too. You see a lot of these guys holding that bottom line very well, going up to the top and heading right back down into the bottom line again. And they're doing such a great job of this. These guys are just performing super well right now. And it looks like right now a lot of these guys are just comfortable where they are. You see a little bit of competition coming out of the looks like the number, I think it's the 97 car, Dwayne MacArthur. He's trying to get a little bit of a maneuver there on the number 3 car, trying to take the bottom line there on him.
Yeah, Dwayne is trying to get around Steve Thompson, number 67, that yellow and red paint scheme of Thompson. MacArthur, he's up one position before he originally started. Started in 5th, he's worked his way up to 4th. But look at this, Tom Ogle's got company. Patrick Milligan all over the back of the number 11 Toyota. Milligan trying to do his best to get that number 18 Ford out front. A very clean-looking interstate paint scheme he's running today. But a lot of things are starting to get shaken up just a little bit, as it looks like Dwayne keeps eyeing the inside of Steve Thompson.
Yeah, he's really fighting to try and get behind him and try and get a little bit of advantage on him and try and swing around him a little bit. But he's still got a little bit more distance to close before he can pull that off, and he doesn't have any support of the guys behind him giving him any draft support. So it'll be interesting to see if he can make it happen here.
We listened on the drivers' meeting earlier where they covered the expectations from all of our athletes here today, and the biggest thing we took away from that was You race how you want to be raced. So if you want to be raced clean, you respect your fellow competitors out there and race clean. And if you want to get banged up and bumped around, then if you initiate it, they will reciprocate. But so far, so clean. We're watching Andrew Hess, the number 54 machine. Hess is down 2 spots from originally started. Started off in 6th, currently running 8th. But what a field of drivers out here today.
Yeah, these drivers are just doing an absolutely great job today. They're just racing so well tonight, or well, this evening, and it's awesome to see. This is the first race that I've seen with the Old Bastard Racing League, and it's really great to see all these drivers just coming together, especially on the holiday, just putting on an awesome race. And it's so far lap 9 out of 195, and these guys are just going. They're cracking at it, and they're doing a great job.
Now, a fun fact about Andrew Hess that you see in the number 54 machine, Chicagoland Speedway, 10 minutes from his house. So this is his home track in real life. So good to see him doing well at the virtual home track and doing well as he's still running side by side with 72. That's Travis Rogers running the outside. Both these guys vying for position, trying to make something happen, and tire wear is definitely a concern for these guys as Rogers racing for TJ's Racing in his number 72 machine. Looks like he's going to get clear of the 54 Andrew Hess and get back out there.
Yeah, a lot of these guys right now, like I said before, they're pretty comfortable where they're at right now, I think, and I think a lot of them are just they're doing their best just to play on that strategy of just stay out on the field as long as you can, avoid putting too much wear on your tires and not having to pit in too early, and well, I guess too late either. I think is another big important part here, but these drivers are just they're doing a really good job right now. They're all getting comfortable where they're at. They're trying to figure out, all right, who can I push with, who can I sort of start to get a little bit of play here with, and maybe try and gain a position or two here. But you have the front of the pack here, Patrick Milligan, Steve Thompson, Dwayne MacArthur, and Tom Ogle. They're all just kind of enjoying being out in front here. You kind of see Tom Ogle. Oh, now he's fighting with looks like Travis Rogers.
Yeah, looks like we got a race going on. Tom Ogle, he's up there with Dwayne MacArthur, Josh Robinson, all in the mix. Dwayne trying to catch up to the rear of the number 67, Steve Thompson. And then Patrick Milligan, he's going to score some laps led here at Chicagoland. So Ogle falling way, way back. He's down 5 spots from where he originally started. We're only on lap 13, 14 when they cross the line. We're expecting to see drivers starting to come in around that lap 50 mark. Maybe some guys going for the undercut slightly earlier, but most likely it's going to be around that lap 50 to 55 mark. As we got another race for the lead here. Here comes Steve Thompson diving down the inside of Patrick Milligan. Milligan on the high side. He's got Dwayne MacArthur behind him, giving him a shove up to the front. And then look at that. MacArthur's going to gain another spot. He's in second now. So MacArthur and the number 97, he's up 3 spots and charging hard.
Yeah, he's definitely trying his best to get out in front here as much as he can. And you're seeing a lot of these drivers out in front too. They're all working really well together and trying to not so much give each other too much of an advantage, but helping each other give one another bump draft and sort of propel themselves further up the pack and close that gap from that first position. And right now, Dwayne MacArthur, he's really close to trying to get around Patrick Milligan right now, and I think he's going to be able to do it if he can maintain that speed that he's got right now, and he might be able to do it here on these next couple turns here. We'll see. Now,
Dwayne MacArthur, he's currently second in points for the points chase behind Josh Robinson. Robinson in a 23 Toyota, he's running 7th place right now. So if MacArthur can stay up front, maybe not even necessarily have to win it, but even take home a 2nd or a 3rd and just keep Robinson behind him, that's going to put MacArthur in a good spot to get up there in the points chase and put himself in the lead for the overall chase as well.
Yeah, he's definitely in a very good spot right now to put himself in a pole position for today's race. And if if he can pull it off, if he can stay consistent throughout the rest of this race, he definitely has a very good shot at doing that. And if hopefully, if things work out for him, he'll be able to get that first pole position.
Yeah, MacArthur doing a great job trying to get out front in the lead and try and win this bad boy. But right now, it's been Patrick Milligan, the car to beat, the fastest Ford on track right now. His last lap was at 32.25 compared to his session best 31.09. So tire wear coming into effect already. And then being out front, he does not have the draft support of his competitors. He's got an occasional push from behind every now and then, but for the most part, he's the one pushing air and burning more fuel as Dwayne MacArthur, Steve Thompson, Travis Rogers, Andrew Hess, the other drivers in our top 5, able to tuck in single file, save a little bit of fuel here. But here comes MacArthur looking to the inside as they go into 3 and 4 around the tri-oval. But it's going to be Milligan at the line once more.
Yeah, Milligan is just, I don't know if he's just very well aware of what MacArthur is doing behind him and trying his best to not give him that draft support that MacArthur needs. He's doing a very good job of trying to keep MacArthur away from him, and you're seeing that little bit of battle where you see MacArthur get a little bit closer, and then he gets a little bit farther, and it's just kind of like a rubber band going on here between these two out in front.
Well, I'm not going to make any old jokes for the drivers today because they did enough of that in the drivers meeting on my behalf, but I will say they're very experienced. A lot of these guys have a lot of real-life racing experience. A few of the guys we were reading the bios before we started tonight have been sim racing since 1995. So no strangers to what it takes to go fast and get out there. I mean, we're seeing some great racing as we see MacArthur really showing what it takes to run up front consistently.
Yeah, these guys are definitely they're setting the bar quite high today, especially for the new driver here today, Jonathan Green, who is not having the race he probably wants today. But I think seeing these guys all perform the way that they are now, it sort of it lets you know what you're going to be expecting in these races and what you should probably do to help yourself get better, learn more, and just be the best racer that you can possibly be.
Yeah, Jonathan Green, our rookie in the 111 Oakley sponsored car with Green Motorsports, doing a good job. His entire objective and goal here tonight is run some good clean laps and say, hey, I've got it takes to run with the OBRL guys and do it consistently. And then he can start pushing once he's past his probationary. Once he earns that double-digit number, you may see the number 111 doing good things in the future. He's a fast driver. He just got to prove himself to the league before they let him come out here and battle with the big dogs.
Yeah, and it's, I think tonight he's really going to see the competition that he's going to be up against throughout this series, and I think he's doing a really good job now. I think lap 23 going on 24 right now, there's been absolutely no incidents, and it's really great to see that all these drivers are just doing a very good job of just putting on a good race. And no matter where they are in the pack, they're all just being as clean as they can. We're on board with Dwayne MacArthur right now, and you can see that he's just absolutely trying to get behind Patrick Milligan in the number 18 car. Man, he's trying. He's really trying hard. He's getting close. You
can really hear the fuel saving and then the tire strategy these guys are already having to do. They're having to load the corners way up, going into 1 and going into 3. Get that car to slowly drift down before they get back on the gas. Helps those big old machines rotate just a little bit. But these guys are pushing hard, and look how close Dwayne MacArthur's getting to Patrick Milligan on the straightaway there. That's some great racing going on.
Yeah, these guys are doing a great job today. I think it's amazing that they're racing this well. First time coming into this series though, so I'm sure that these guys have been doing this for a long time. As you said, some of these guys have been racing since the 90s, and that's, a lot of people wouldn't even know what that would be like, and I think that's amazing.
Yeah, it's always interesting as a broadcaster going into a new series. You don't really know how the drivers drive, how they communicate. And I've got to say, this has been one of the friendliest leagues we've hopped in. A bunch of older guys having a lot of time with their free time. They say youth and I forget what it is. Youth and something is no match for age and treachery. So these guys are all very smart and know how to get around. But look at that. Here comes Tom Ogle. He's battling with the number 54. That's going to be Andrew Hess trying to get in the mix. Hess falling back, and now Travis Rogers, excuse me, is going to take the position.
Yeah, and you're seeing a lot of these drivers too that are here, kind of in the 4th through about 8 positions. They're all just they're very not too close to each other, but they've all kind of been in the same string, same pack, so to speak, this entire race so far, and that's super amazing to see for me. All these guys are putting on roughly the same pace, with a few variations here and there, but they're all racing extremely hard today, and it's super awesome to see. And we're seeing, looks like Tom Ogle in 11 car drop down low, come down and try and make a pass there, but it did not work out for him the way that he wanted it to, unfortunately.
Yeah, Tom Ogle, he's side by side with Andrew Hess in the 54 machine, trying to make something happen here, and still a battle for the lead going on. As it looks like Dwayne MacArthur is going to get as close to the bottom as he can, dive it into 1, but can he make it stick here against Patrick Milligan? It looks like he's got the inside. They're side by side, going around 1, coming out of 2. As these cars starting to tighten up really badly, it gets harder and harder to hold that inside line and still keep drive out of the corner. We see it there. Dwayne MacArthur is going to slow down just a little bit. It looks like Steve Thompson, Travis Rogers able to catch up just a bit. We do have an off-track incident. That's going to be Pete Cocoa Puffs has a moment. We'll try and get a replay of that here for you. So watch Pete, the number 3 machine, dives it down the inside grass. Oh! The airtime out of the number 3 machine. That was spectacular.
Big old jump out of the number 3 machine there.
We're going to get that one once more on the slow motion replay sponsored by Metro Ford, because that is a highlight right there, my friends. So it looks like Pete just gets a little bit loose coming out of the corner. Tries to woe it up, but unable to do so. He might have had a hardware failure or something of that sort. So that was a weird place to go off, but
and there's no correction in his
here we go.
Right now. Boom.
All 4 tires off the ground. Pete absolutely launching the number 3 machine.
Yep, he's definitely going to be maybe heading into pits there after that one.
Maybe heading to a chiropractor after that one. That was brutal.
Absolutely. Yeah, back on the track here, we're seeing Patrick Milligan and Dwayne MacArthur battling it back out for 1st and 2nd position here. We have Steve Thompson and Travis Rogers right behind them. And, you know, honestly, Steve Thompson has been, he's thirsting for that number 1 or number 2 pole position. He really wants it. He's trying to get behind Dwayne MacArthur right now and get around him. He might be able to pull it off. He's got a little bit of draft support with Travis Rogers behind him in the number 72 car. So hopefully he might be able to make something happen. Yeah,
good racing. These guys still really battling up here. Milligan's led a whole lot of laps here at Chicagoland. He's got to be burning more fuel than his competitor, so you may see him coming a little bit earlier. And when we talk to these crew chiefs, we cover that you can do 50 to 60 laps with no draft. So maybe the guys behind Milligan, maybe MacArthur, maybe Thompson can stretch it out to 60 if they really need to. But I think what you're going to see is guys coming in big old packs. Is you do not want to leave pit lane all by your lonesome and have no draft partners to work with. So I think we're going to see things clicking off and maybe see some action developing on pit lane, which is always exciting.
Yeah, you know, and a lot of these drivers too, we're starting to get pretty close here. We're probably maybe another 15, maybe 20 laps out before we start to see some cars head into pit lane, excuse me. And yeah, like you said, that can get really interesting sometimes. Some drivers can get a little spicy coming into pit lane, and if they're not careful, if they're not paying attention to the other drivers around them, you can cause an accident inside the pit lane and make everyone stay bad.
That's a whole lot of not good if that happens. But let's see here. Still great racing going on. These guys have slowed down a little bit. They're doing 32.5 for the most part, so they're about 1.5 seconds off their best times so far here today at Chicago as tire wear is coming into play. Cars getting very, very tight going to the corner. They're going to have to whoa those brake markers way, way up, try and get the car to settle in before it starts to rotate around. But you could throw a blanket over the top 5 right now. We're 36 laps in, and then I believe it is less than a second separates the top 8 here at Chicago.
Yeah, it's just great racing that we're seeing here today. I mean, it's like you said, we're on lap 36 already. We're almost at the quarter-way mark for this race, and it's just been green all the way through. Unfortunately, we had the incident with Pete in the number 3 car, but we'll check in on that later and figure out what's going on there. But otherwise, it's like you said, you could throw a blanket over the top 5 cars here, and they've all been in this position for the past 37 laps. It's just great, super great racing today.
Not a lot of shaking up on the field right now. We're still watching Dwayne MacArthur, 97. MacArthur, a self-described, washed-up Canadian stock car driver. He's the driver of the RAG custom sponsored cars in all 4 of the OBRL series, so he's on pretty much every night of the week, burning laps. He's from Manitoba, Canada. Originally, MacArthur joined iRacing to work on racecraft. He found the Old Bastards Racing League, and then they didn't let him go anywhere, so he's stuck here for life now. But good to see the 97 machine out there burning laps virtually until he can do so once this whole COVID mess is officially done with.
Yeah, you always got to read the fine text. Just read the fine text. Yeah, it's, really, it's awesome to see all of these drivers in this league. I mean, like you said, the minimum age is 35. All of these drivers are very experienced. They know what they're doing, and they're making that known here today. Honestly, it's very impressive to see all of these drivers here today doing what they're doing and just being super, super clean. Being that it's lap 39 going on 40 right now, you'd expect to see maybe a slip up here or there, but no, it's just been green all the way, and I love it.
Yeah, we almost had that incident with the Kopko, but he does a good job staying out of the racing line. And I've got to say, I think we've called a bunch of races so far, and this has got to be one of the cleanest ones we've seen so far. An absolute pleasure. But look, right as we say that, Dwayne MacArthur looks to the inside. It looks like he's taking a peek at Milligan, maybe making him think there, or maybe putting some clean air on the hood of that number 97. And we've got some good racing going on at the back, too. We saw Chris Scales going back with Lewis Albee, going back and forth. That's the battle for 15th right here.
Yeah, and you're seeing all these drivers, too, in the back. They're maybe not, putting on the best performance night that they maybe want to have, but they're still racing extremely cleanly, and they're doing a good job of just putting on green laps. And right now we're seeing, looks like, I believe that's going to be...
that's going to be the number
15.
Yep, the number 15. Chris Scales is who we're watching right now. Right now he's battling with, Chris Scales is in the 8. He's battling with Brian Lynch in the 15. These guys are trying to make something happen here. Lynch is going to lose the spot to Chris Scales. But from front to back, lots of good racing. I think people at home take it for granted. This isn't, guys out here battling computers and just beating up on them. These are real people from across the country doing their best to hang it out and go fast. So just being mid-pack in a field of such talented drivers is an accomplishment to itself. As we see Brian Lynch in the Hooters-sponsored Chevrolet number 15. He's going to tuck in behind Scales. Lynch is down 2 spots from where he originally started. Chris Scales, though, is up 6 positions. So Scales having a pretty good run here tonight.
Yeah, Scales is having I think probably a better race than he might have expected today. He, like you said, he's up 6 positions, and they're not quite exactly working their way up the pack anytime soon. But I think their strategy here should be to try and give themselves a little bit of draft support and try and close that gap on the front pack as much as they can, and just get themselves a little bit closer to maybe working their way into a new position here.
We've got a heck of a battle for 7th place developing. We're watching Al Turner, the number 76 from Turner Motorsports. He's chasing Tom Ogle, Travis Rogers, Behind him, he's got Andrew Hess, Josh Robinson, Dakota Pischke. A lot of very fast and talented drivers all in the mix here. As Al Turner's going to get another spot. They go too wide. And I think he's going to clear the spot. So now he's going to work on Travis Rogers. And this front pack starting to tighten up a little bit here.
Yeah, these I think now that their tire wear is starting to come into play a lot more, they're getting closer and closer to their estimated pit time, or their pit lap. They're starting to get, I think.
There we go. Pit cycle has started. That's going to be Steve Thompson, Dwayne MacArthur coming into pit lane. The rest of the field, Mike Schrader comes in. Lewis Albee comes in, but for the most part, a large portion of the field opting to stay out and stretch out that fuel just a little bit longer. This is going to be interesting. You can see a couple different fuel strategies start to develop here as Patrick Milligan stays out front. Travis Rogers moves up to second. Al Turner to third. Al Turner up 13 spots tonight.
Al Turner is having, I think, now he's having the race that he really wants to have. It's really interesting to see that Milligan stayed out as long as he did, too. I think that might have been part of his strategy there, but now that Steve Thompson, he pitted in a lap before him. He's going to get out on track probably most likely before Milligan, and that might not work out for Milligan the way that he wants it to. But we're seeing Travis Rogers out here on front right now with Al Turner right behind him, and these guys are just trying to stay out as long as they can right now, I think, and use up as much of that fuel, as much as those tires as they can, and just do what they can now, because they're not going to be able to do it again later in the race.
These drivers spending on average about 42 to 43 seconds on pit lane total, about 14 to 15 seconds in their box, depending on how quickly those crew chiefs work. And we know with fresh tires, they can go about 1.5 seconds faster. The question Rogers has is, how fast can I go? How much of a gap can we get on those fast cars that were previously leading and keep ourselves in the lead lap?
Yeah, and he's going to have a hard time to probably keeping this position if he chooses to stay out as long as he possibly can. I think at the end of the day, it might hurt him more than help him by staying out as long as he is now, but he might have a bigger strategy at play here that we don't know about.
Yeah, the name of the game is the fastest overall times. One flying lap doesn't do you much good if you blow your tires early on and then have to come in and drop way off the pace. So right now, if he's able to stay out, it would take those lead cars about 20 laps to catch up with the time difference. If Rogers can still keep clicking off mid-32s compared to the very fast low 31s of the other drivers, so he's going to stay out as long as he can, try and stretch that gap. We know he's going to lose about 40 seconds once he comes into pit lane and cycles back in. So a few different strategies working out here tonight. 195 laps. I believe it was Scales wondering to himself, how am I going to do the math out here with odd number of laps? So that was funny to see and listen to in the drivers' meeting. All these guys working on strategy together. Even when they're not on the same team, they're all trying to lift each other up and go as fast as they possibly can to just try and develop their racecraft out here.
Yeah, these drivers are really doing their best to learn well. I don't want to say learn as much as they can, but I want to say that they're doing their best to improve each other as much as they possibly can, because at the end of the day, you're not just driving for yourself. You're driving for your team, and you're trying to work with others and gain points for your entire team other than just yourself. So
now Al Turner stays out. Travis Rogers, Tom Ogle, Josh Robinson, Andrew Hess, Michael Everhart all coming into pit lane. So I'm expecting to see Al Turner come in pretty soon. It looks like he is here. He is. He's going to signal, hey, I'm coming in, guys. Current race leader is going to be Brian Glass, who has not pitted yet, the number 87. Still about 4 or 5 cars that haven't. Glass has not come in. Ken Huff, Jonathan Green, Pete Kopko, a.k.a. Cocoa Puffs. Dean Green has also not come in. So if you guys are going to stretch it out to the absolute limit on that fuel, Brian Glass is going to get some laps led here at Chicago before he has to cycle. And Glass way off the pace from what he was able to do earlier. His best in the session was at 30.96. His last time by was at 33.05, so he's feeling the effect of those tires in his Kodiak-sponsored number 87 Chevrolet.
Yeah, you got to be wondering too what he's thinking right now, being out here this late. He's got to be thinking to himself, what's my strategy now? What am I gonna do here? Am I gonna stay out a little bit longer, a few more laps, try and hold out what I can, or am I gonna hit back in here in the next lap or two and get on those fresh tires? Because now you're paid. Oh, actually, looks like he's gonna
just like
go
that.
in the pit lane
Glass
now.
is gonna come in. A lot of the field going to start getting their laps back here. Ken Huff, he's still out so far in the number 46 Superflow back Chevrolet. So I think the strategy is they're just going to run until dry here. They're going to run as long as they can for a few of those competitors and maybe have a little bit fresher tires later on the run so they can make up some positions. But a lot of shuffling going on here as we see Ken Huff making way for lap cars getting their lap back. But still have, I believe, 4 drivers out in their original set of tires. Ken Huff currently in the lead, Jonathan Green second, Pete Kopko in third, Dean Green in fourth, all on their original set as Ken Huff's going to come in. And Jonathan Green stays out.
He's going to be out on
the rookie.
Right now.
The rookie leads the lap here at Chicagoland. Put your hands together. The triple-digit 111 Oakley-sponsored machine has got to be thinking to himself, oh God, how did I get here? Am I allowed to be here? But Green doing a good job leading his first laps here at Chicago. Doesn't matter if it's due to pit strategy. That's got to feel cool for the number 111. We'll see him dive into pits in the next couple of laps, I'm sure, but very, very cool to see the rookie leading some laps.
Yeah, I think Green's just kind of thinking to himself, I'm just going to enjoy being out in the front of the pack for a minute here. It's not going to last long, but I'm just going to enjoy my time and just spend some time out front and see what it's like.
You got to take the TV time when you can get it. You see Pete Kopko, the veteran, following the rookie around. We saw number 3 launch that Goodwrench-sponsored painted car to orbit earlier, but doing a good job. He's currently showing in the race lead, but has not pitted yet.
Yeah, and it's, I'm really curious to know why he's chose to stay out this late in the race. It's really got to be quite difficult to keep a good control of that car right now. We're pushing on lap 59 right now, and that car's got to be real difficult to hold that line going into these corners, and it looks like he's struggling a little bit to hold that lower line if he's trying to do so, but we'll see what he's going to do here in the next couple laps.
Yeah, Green, he's really battling that tight car. The more laps you put, the more it wants to plow that front end and push up the racetrack coming out of the corner. So he's got to really, really back off those entry marks. But this is Green's first entry into the Metro Ford Cup Series. So absolute first time on track with these competitors. I do not know if Green runs other series here with the Old Bastard Racing Leagues, but we're going to see Green bring it into pit lane as Pete Kopko Cocoa Puffs, the number 3 machine, stays out for a little bit longer. Pete with Last Ditch Racing doing a good job keeping it out front and just getting some laps led and trying to regain after having that big incident early on. I expect to see Pete coming in any minute now.
Yeah, we still have Pete Kopko and both Dean Gear, both still leading out on the track here without fresh tires right now. And looks like we're actually seeing Pete head into pit lane now.
Yeah, Pete's going to head in. So we talked earlier in the broadcast that some of these guys have been racing since the early 90s. Pete is one of those guys. He started sim racing in 1994 with Papyrus NASCAR Racing, where he used his position as a systems administrator to host online racing server for himself and his buddies. So even back in 94, Pete's been out there going door to door with all of his friends. He's a big NASCAR fan, aficionado, and he loves visiting his local track, the Motodrome in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. He's got friends that run out there in the late model series, so even when he's not racing online, he's watching it. He's watching his friends and cheering on his real-life friends, so good to see the enthusiasm running deep and lasting for 20-some-odd years at this point.
Yeah, it's truly incredible that some of these drivers have been sim racing for over 20 years. It's honestly, it's incredible to see that. It's a lot of experience to have, especially in these iRacing leagues. It's it's it really shows too when these drivers are out here and they're racing as hard as they are. They're putting on just all these green laps. No one's having any major issues with one another. No one's bumping into each other. It's just super clean driving. Everyone's doing a great job today.
They don't call it the Old Bastards Racing League for nothing, as Patrick Milligan once again out front, Dwayne MacArthur second, Steve Mule Thompson, he's running third, but Thompson finds himself about 1.5 seconds back from these lead two cars. I'm not sure. We're going to take a look here, see if Thompson has anybody to work with. No, Thompson's pushing air all by himself. Behind him, he's got Craig McDaniel, Josh Robinson, Andrew Hess, Tom Ogle running in a train. So right now, if Dwayne MacArthur, Patrick Milligan can run together here, they can get some time on that pack behind him and just try and get some good clean laps and avoid what might be coming, which is a freight train of drivers.
Yeah, he's going to be expecting a lot of drivers catching up to him really soon here. We have looks like from the 12th position on down, we have a 10-second gap at least going to the front pack. So it's going to be a long few laps here for everyone that's kind of coming back out onto the track here from pit lane before we start to see the pack start to tighten back up again.
Right now, Dwayne MacArthur, Patrick Milligan, they're both clicking off mid-32, so not pushing aggressively at all at this point, saying, hey, tire wear is a factor. Let's take it easy for a little bit. We've got a comfortable gap, and we need to step on the loud pedal we can, as they're going to be comfortable just clicking off some laps up here. These drivers do get bonus points for races with 0 incidents. So all these drivers, another bonus of running clean is you can score some more points. That really helps you out in the points chase. Speaking of points chase, Patrick Milligan is in a good spot to gain some much-needed points here. Dwayne MacArthur in second. Milligan is in 4th place in points. He's about 48 points down from the leader. And Josh Robinson, our current points chase leader, he's still running 4th, so in a good spot. As you and I both know, consistency wins championships here at the Metro Ford Cup Series, as we are on round 20 out of a 37-round chase series.
Yeah, and this late into the series too, with only a few races left to go, it's a lot of these drivers have sort of solidified their spots in the standings as far as points are concerned, and I think now what a lot of these drivers are going to be trying to do here is try and gain some points for their team and hopefully solidify their team standings.
Now, Mason, I think I've got to disagree with you on that one. With 17 rounds left, we've got about 7 laps until the chase starts with the top 16 drivers. I still think we have enough time with 7 races before the chase starts, 17 left in the season. I still think you can see some big moves here. The top points series isn't really separated by a whole lot. About 100 points separate Steve Thompson in 6th from current points leader Josh Robinson. So I'm still thinking we can see something really shake up here.
Yeah, and I will own up to my mistakes here. I actually misinterpreted what you said there for what race we're on and how many were left. So I actually agree with you. I take back what I said. There's going to be a lot of chances for these drivers to come get some points here. It's really interesting to see what they're doing now. We're seeing a lot of these top competitors here tonight. They're doing a very good job of just staying consistent. They're always kind of in the same positions that they're in the same pack throughout the entire race. We're seeing Patrick Milligan and Dwayne MacArthur right back at it in positions 1 and 2, with Steve Thompson right behind them, excuse me. And it's just really awesome to see. We don't see that in a whole lot of other series that we commentate for, where you just see a lot of the same drivers in the same sort of standings throughout the series.
Yeah, Dwayne McCarthy, he's the one who originally reached out to the Team Goon Squad broadcasting crew as a liaison for the admins and the sponsors of the OBRL League. And we even asked him, like, well, is it green flag runs? What do we normally see from everybody up here? And he goes, yeah, normally very clean racing, very few cautions. And I've got to say, he's been right on the money as we've been going 72 laps green. Look at Cocoa Puffs trying to get his lap back here. The number 3 machine working his way past the leaders.
Yeah, Cocoa Puffs really, he's really trying his best to get back what he lost there from that incident earlier here in the race. And really, I'm still curious to know what happened there. I think I got to agree with you on what you said earlier. It might have been a hardware issue, and I genuinely believe that's what it was. Hopefully that we were correct in that. But we're seeing them come back a little bit here. Excuse me. These guys are really trying their best to try and get back to where they were. We're seeing actually the Jonathan Green. He's kind of in the mix here out in front. He probably doesn't want to be, but he's sort of stuck there right now, and I think he's maybe wanting to try and get around these guys to hopefully get back to the back of the pack where he probably should be.
Well, I think technically Green is at the back of the pack, but unfortunately the front of the pack is right behind the back of the pack. So Jonathan Green doing a good job, staying on the lead lap. He's going to get by Ed Post, number 79. Ed not having the best night tonight. He's down 12 positions in his number 79 sponsored Ford machine and just not quite having the run he wants. He's going to drop down the low line, let the fast guys by, doing a very good job. In the drivers' meeting, the drivers were communicating amongst each other going, hey, where's the preferred line for the slower or lap cars to go? It was pretty much universally agreed that if they could stay low or stay high, it didn't really matter as long as they held a line. The problem is later on these runs, if the guys are trying to hold the low line, the front end push is so bad, you can push up the racetrack into your competitors. So a very tricky spot to be in when you find yourself going to lap down such as Ed Post and Dean Greer.
Yeah, these guys are definitely struggling a little bit here today. It's unfortunate to see, but hopefully we'll start to see them gain some of their positions back. We're only on lap 76, so they still have plenty of time to do that. It might take them a little bit longer than they might expect, but we'll see here as the race progresses on.
Let's see here, still lots of laps to go. A lot of very good clean racing here at the OBRL League. As Patrick Milligan runs out front, the Metro Ford gentleman himself, Dwayne MacArthur, our currently fastest Canadian on track, doing a great job. While right now we've got Mason, he's checking in with the crews to see what happened to Pete Kopko earlier on, but we'd like to again thank Metro Ford. 173 vehicles in stock, the best selection of mid-sized trucks in the country. Give them a visit. Patrick will get you qualified on financing for your next truck. So check them out. Metro Ford always coming in, helping out the series. And thank you, Patrick, as well for getting this thing together. We greatly appreciate it. And that's Metro Ford.
All right, and I came back from the drivers here. I had a little talk here with Pete Kopko in the number 3 car. He actually did have a hardware malfunction that caused him to go off track there. So we were correct in that, or you were correct in that, and assuming that.
That's a team effort. We got to give it a take where we can. So glad to see Pete was able to salvage something from that. That was a spectacular incident the number 3 machine of Pete Kopko had going on. Glad he got the hardware dialed in because that could have been way, way worse if it failed somewhere else on the racetrack. So hopefully you can see Pete kind of get the program fixed a little bit. He's currently running 24th right now, down 2 spots from where he started. So overall, with that huge incident, that could have been much, much worse for the number 3.
Yeah, he could be in a much worse position right now. He could be completely out of the race if it would have been worse. But luckily, it didn't cause that to happen. He's still out on track here. He's doing his hardest to try and regain those positions that he lost. And I think he's going to be able to pull it off here. He's been putting on a really great performance today, and I think he's gonna. I think later on in the race, we're gonna see him out in front, possibly.
Yeah, he's a great guy. Everybody loves him in the drivers, being very friendly and outgoing. But to be fair, that covers most of the drivers here at OBRL. Very welcoming group of old, goofy drivers doing their best and having a great time. And the fact that they're able to put together 27 drivers on a holiday on a Sunday, extremely impressive. Shows just how much these guys care about racing with their friends. And look at this battle for 5th place. Steve the Mule Thompson, he's chased by Tom Ogle, Josh Robinson, Craig McDaniel, all in the mix here trying to get that top 5 spot. But I mean, we're late into the race, almost we'll call it almost to the halfway mark, pretty close to it, as these guys are still pushing hard all the way around.
Yeah, and it's been just super clean racing all the way through. These guys have been doing just a great job of maintaining all their lines. They're doing a good job of supporting one another and giving each other support into these corners, giving each other as much speed as they possibly can. And I think a lot of these drivers too, they're trying their hardest to just stay out on track as long as they can. I don't think a lot of these drivers are going to try and make any risky maneuvers that they don't want to try and make here today and just put themselves out of the race.
And it's one of the things here, when you run with the same group of guys, especially in multiple series under the same league, your name really carries some weight to it. Nobody wants to be known as the guy that's constantly crashing or the guy overly pushing. So these guys develop a repertoire among each other. They get a little bit more familiar with how hard they can push, what they can get away with, and they're truly friends on and off the track. It's a very unique thing they've got going on, and a lot of great racing here. Now, Steve Thompson, you currently see him right up front, that yellow and red painted number 67. He likes to give a thank that guys like Mike Schrader, Niels Clyde, John Hastings, Sean Byer, Kim Quick, that really helped him put together a program here on sim racing and really helped him become a competent driver. So even Steve Thompson realizing, hey, if it wasn't for these guys out here beside me on track, I would not be able to learn as much as I have been and develop as a racer. So Steve paying homage to his friends, which is always great to see.
Yeah, and a lot of these drivers too in these leagues, you see just a lot of close-knit community in these leagues where drivers are helping each other learn more and get better as a racer overall. You don't see a lot of these leagues where drivers are just super uptight. Pretty much everyone here, almost everyone actually is just super wholesome, a very great person, and a very great racer.
And the crazy thing is, after this, Mason, they've all got to throw on their white New Balances and fire up the barbecue for July 4th. So a very busy day for a lot of the drivers. I know I'm excited to have July 4th weekend, and I appreciate everybody that tunes in from across the world to the Team Goon Squad broadcasting channel, giving us shout-outs for their favorite drivers out there. We couldn't do it without you. And as always, thank you. Hope you're having a safe holiday and enjoying it for what it is, Independence Day, as these guys are hammering down in Chicago, putting on a great show for everybody across the world. Always a pleasure to see.
Yeah, these guys are definitely going to have a busy day ahead of them, being that it's the 4th of July. They're starting off their day with a nice Cup Series race here. And so far, it looks like a lot of these guys are going to have a great start to their day, as we see Dwayne MacArthur all the way out in front.
Oh, Mason, I see a yellow flag, and I'm not sure from where.
Oh, boy. Well, I think that commentator curse maybe have kicked in there a little bit.
I don't see anything on live time and scoring showing a crash, so I'm not sure what happened. I don't see off tracks, or I'm very confused here. Oh, found it.
Oh, boy.
So that's going to be, I believe, John Hastings involved. Let's get a slow-mo on that one. So John Hastings, and then 32. Looks like he gets pinched by the 24 of Brian Lindsay. bounces it in the wall, and just how he bounces back. Quarter panel is the number 24. No, excuse me, that's the 22 of Bruce Pearson. So Bruce Pearson, and the number 24 Brian Lindsay involved in that one. Number 32 John Hastings did get around fine. The cautions come out as the number 24 slides down the racetrack. Just not enough room for these two competitors out there. So just like that, strategy's getting changed up for the drivers. Dwayne MacArthur out front. Patrick Milligan showing in fourth as they all come down pit lane. I'm not sure what happened to Milligan for him to lose those track positions, but now it's going to be a race on and off pit road to see who can get out front and maintain their position. But I got to say, lap 88 before our first caution's a heck of a green flag run from these competitors.
I got to agree with you, James. Going 89, 90 laps with all green, that's just incredible. You got to give credit to these drivers here today. They all put on just an excellent race here today, and it's unfortunate to have this little bit of a mix-up happen here today, but that it happens. Racing is it's bound to happen in these sports, and it's hopefully these drivers will be able to recover from it and get back out on track here and put on some more green laps here.
When there's smoke, there's fire. As you see all these competitors lighting up the rear tires, leaving pit road. That's what it looks like when 25 drivers leave the pit in unison. Still going to be Dwayne MacArthur out front. Andrew Hess has worked his way up to second. Travis Rogers third. And Patrick Milligan's fallen back just a little bit. The Ford currently has 3 Chevrolets in front of him as Patrick Milligan currently running fourth, down 2 spots to the number 18 machine.
And as we're starting to see the pack start to line up behind the pace car here, it's really going to be interesting to see what happens here after the pace car goes back into pit lane here. We have a little bit of shakeup here in the front of the pack, not too much, but with this kind of a rolling start here, we might see a little bit more action here out of the front of the pack.
Yeah, I agree. I think now that we're pretty much at the halfway mark or very well close to it, you've got some guys that have been up front all night. Patrick Milligan, Steve Thompson, Tom Ogle. They're finding themselves mid top 5 here. And then you've got guys like Dwayne MacArthur, Andrew Hess, Travis Rogers. They're all up 4 positions each. So now these guys have a chance to run up front, push each other a little bit, and we still have about two pit stops remaining if I'm doing my math right. It's going to be very, very close for these guys, but we're chipping away at laps here, and things are going to be shaking up. I think we always say cautions breed cautions, so interested to see what's going to happen on the restart, who's willing to push a little bit harder, and who's going to play it safe. But right now, it's going to be Ed Post. He's the only driver a lap down. Not sure if lucky dogs are in effect, and we're going to see him get a wave by. And no fast repairs here at the OBRL Metro Ford Cup Series. So once you're damaged, you are damaged.
Yeah, and I gotta love that. I do respect that about this series. Not letting drivers have these fast repairs and sort of just giving drivers, I guess, a little bit of a variable that they have to account for when they're out on the track here. If they damage their car enough, if they're putting too much damage on their car, they're not going to be able to keep it steady through these lines. They're gonna have a harder time keeping it stable, and it like you said before, cautions breed cautions, and if it continues to happen, it'll only get worse.
Pace car will be in this time by the entire field stacked up. Dwayne MacArthur, Andrew Hess starting on the front row. All these restarts have to be on green, so you're not going to see any shenanigans going on here for restarts. Interested to see what it's going to be like as we keep chipping off the laps. I am excited.
Right there with you, James. I'm very excited to see what these drivers are going to do here now that the pit car is going to be rolling into pit lane here any minute now.
Dwayne MacArthur in a great spot to make up some points on Josh Robinson. Robinson currently in 8th, our points leader. Pace car is in, waiting for the green flag to fly. There we go. They're on the loud pedal. Dwayne MacArthur gets a great launch. Andrew Hess on his outside. And we did have an off track there. I believe that was Dakota Pischke might have had a moment.
Hopefully he was able to recover from that relatively easily. It looks like he was able to. Looks like we're having Andrew Hess coming out on front here a little bit with Dwayne MacArthur trying to take that back, and he does going into the turn here. And Andrew Hess is going to fall a little bit behind him, and Patrick Milligan and Travis Rogers are just side by side right behind them, trying to close that gap that they've now put out in front of them.
Yeah, I mean, very impressive MacArthur. He's up 4 spots. Andrew Hess also up 4 spots. Behind them, just a field of drivers. Patrick Milligan, he's going to try and fend off Tom Ogle, Travis Rogers, but we got more off track. It's going to be Chris Scales showing his off track. Caution does not come out. They're going to keep it clean and green for now as this top 10 starts to work themselves back to single file when given the opportunity. And these guys are going to try and click off some laps and see what happens. We keep burning up fuel here in Chicago.
Yeah, these cars are definitely doing their best right now to try and stay out in front, especially in the front of the pack here. You're seeing just a lot of competition for these front 3 positions. It's really interesting to see a lot of these drivers kind of getting shaken up here a little bit. And you have someone down on the apron there. It looks like they were just getting out of the way.
I believe that was Chris Scales, I believe. But I mean, look at this battle. The battle for 7th. Craig McDaniel in the number 54 machine. But there's really, you're right. There's battles all over the place. There's that top 5 pack that's vying for spots, and then there's this second half of the top 10 all trying to make something happen.
Yeah, you're just seeing a lot of different strategies, kind of all over the track here. You have drivers trying to work with each other, trying to just close gaps. You have drivers just trying to overtake other drivers and get a better position. But yeah, it's anywhere you look right now. I mean, there's something bound to happen as far as someone taking over someone else, or yeah, it's just a lot of great racing right now.
Yeah, Tom Nogle, Steve Thompson going side by side. Thompson on the inside, the number 67 Toyota. Tom Ogle on the outside, the number 11 Toyota. Trying to catch up to Patrick Milligan right in front of him. So this is the battle for 4th on your screen as these guys are going side by side several laps in a row. Oh, are we going to make it 3 wide here? We are. Oh, here we go. Steve Thompson, Tom Ogle. Oh, no! Steve Thompson goes around hard.
Big wreck.
Thompson's
big wreck.
crashed. Milligan, Ogle, all involved. No caution.
No caution?
Nope.
I wonder...
I am confused, perplexed, and every other adjective you can throw at it. Let's get a replay of that one. That was violent. Number 11 gives a good hard shove to Thompson. Wasn't quite squared up enough. That's going to upset Thompson's machine. 11 still into the rear corner panel. Spins him around. The number 18, that's going to be Patrick Milligan. He gets collected. And then Thompson's going to take a huge, huge hit on the inside wall.
Very unfortunate for Thompson.
Milligan
today,
flies through
drivers.
the grass. Ogle very, very damaged in the number 11. But no caution. That's crazy. So these guys use the iRacing caution system. So if cars are off track, the caution will not come out. As MacArthur gets a big, big break, he's going to maintain the lead out there, followed by Andrew Hess, Josh Robinson. Robinson wasn't having a great night tonight, but suddenly he's finding his way back up front. And, you know, MacArthur's thinking, I've got to finish in front of Robinson and chip away at that points lead. But things have really shaken up here at the lap 100 mark here at Chicagoland.
Yeah, it's the field has definitely changed quite a bit now that some of these top competitors have unfortunately been involved in some of these incidents here. We're seeing a little bit of a different front of the pack here. We have Dwayne MacArthur, who's still been out in the pack pretty much the entire the race here so far. And Andrew Hess and Josh Robinson, they're both joining the second and third position now. It's really curious to see a lot of these drivers that we haven't seen out in the front. They're starting to make their way out here, and they're doing a good job of trying to get out there and secure one of those positions.
Greg McDaniel, the number 30 Chevrolet, he is up 7 spots in his McDaniel Racing sponsored machine. Don Hoskins, the currently running 8th, the number 66, the bright green and yellow Ford Mustang, he is up 10 spots. And then John Hastings, the number 32, he is up 15 spots, our current hard charger on the racetrack.
Yeah, a lot of these drivers are just pushing really, really hard right now. We have a few drivers that are down in the back of the pack that were out in front, Patrick Milligan being one of them. It's all it takes. Like we said before at the beginning of the broadcast, all it takes is just one little slip up, and it can ruin your whole day or your whole season. That's all it takes.
Yeah, that's why they call it racing and not showing up and collecting a paycheck. But the battle for the lead still shaping up. MacArthur, he has pressure from Andrew Hess. Travis Rogers, Josh Robinson also pushing their way up front. And then, is that the number? Yeah, that's the number 87, Brian Glass, also in the mix of it here. So, again, like you said, we hit the nail on the head. A lot of things have really shaken up in the top 5 as well as the top 10. And the points chase is really going to get shaken up after this as well.
Yeah, I've got to wonder too. What's the point standing going to look like after today's race? Are we going to see some of these drivers that have been involved in these incidents make their way back to the front of the pack and try and mitigate some of that loss, or are we going to see some of these drivers that have kind of been midfield, maybe at the back of the pack, get a pole position or get in the first, second, or third position and secure some points here?
Now Andrew Hess, he's going to lead some laps here in Chicago. He's taking the position away from Dwayne MacArthur in the 97. So MacArthur might be thinking, you know what, let's save a little bit of fuel, try and stretch this run out here. But that caution is going to throw a little bit of a kink in the plans. All these guys came in on lap 89. We know historically they've been pitting about 45, 50 laps since or at a time. They may be able to stretch it some, but that's going to put the pit window between lap 134 and lap 140. I think what you're going to see is guys try and stretch it out as long as they can on this fuel run, so they can do the last. It's not an official stage, but a fuel stage, if you will. That lap for that last 50, 55 laps on one tank of gas. I think is what we're going to see happen.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what these drivers are going to do strategy-wise for those last 50 laps there. Are we going to see some of these drivers come in and just get on a full tank of gas and send it, or are we going to see some other strategies come into play here? I know that a lot of these drivers have quite a bit of experience with this, and I'm really interested to see what some of these guys are going to do.
I'm doing a little bit of math here on my broadcasting notes. I'm pretty sure these guys can do it with one more stop, but that's all going to depend as well if we don't have any caution. That's a green flag run. If we get another caution late in the race, it's going to completely change everything and what's going on out there. But I'm thinking we're going to see one more stop from these competitors, and then they try and stretch it out to a little bit of fuel saving.
Yeah, I got to agree with you, James. I think that's what's going to happen here. I think that's going to be the smart play for a lot of these drivers here, especially out in the top 10
Oh, yellow flag is out. The rookie's in the wall. The rookie in the 111 machine. Let's see what happens here. Now, we said earlier how tight those cars get. I'm not sure if the 45 hit. I'm not sure who started that. I'm not sure if the 45 touched the wall or the 111 came up into the wall. Let's try and get a different angle on that.
It almost looked like they kind of just kind of V'd into each other a little bit.
All right, here's our Metro Ford sponsored chopper cam. Look at the 45 on the right side of your screen. I can't blame the rookie on that one. I think the 45 went up high and maybe a little bit of a netcode that pushed him back down, but Green just having terrible, terrible luck. Does everything right, starts to lock it up here. He's off track. He's on track. He realizes, oh no, I'm drifting into the raceway here. Locks it up in the 111 machine. Does he get through this unscathed? Oh boy.
A little bit of a tense moment there.
That
as,
could have went
Green,
way, way worse.
Yeah.
So Green, I mean, yes, he's the rookie in the season right now, but I got to give him credit. He did a good job. He did everything right from my point of view. As we see Dean Greer checking up for the pace car while the rest of the field has come in. Greer pitted on lap 90. The rest of the field pitted on lap 110. So things still getting shaken up. You've got a guy, Greer, with 20 lap older tires than what's behind him. So I'm not sure if we're going to see Greer duck in right here or if he's going to stay out. And if he does stay out, things can get very, very exciting very, very quickly as you have the rest of the field on a different tire strategy than the number 92 machine.
Yeah, we'll see if that plays out for him too later on during the race. If this strategy is going to work out for him, I'm not too confident. Well, actually, he's going to go ahead and pit in now. It looks like.
That's maybe. Yeah, he is going to come in. So Greer, he's a rookie in the league. He only has a handful of races. He decided to join OBRL after being wrecked day after day in the official lobbies. And he is sponsored by Oakley for all of his series.
You gotta love to see a lot of these newer drivers. Well, maybe not so much new to racing in general, but just new drivers to these leagues that kind of come in and find their home, if you will. It's always really nice to see.
I did misspeak right there. I called out the sponsors for Jonathan Green, our favorite rookie out there right now, instead of Greer. So my apologies if Greer is listening along at home. So Greer does not have a driver profile on file with us. So that was Green that we just read off. Andrew Hess going to be out front. Gary Kipfer, his currently best he's been all night. The number 68 machine is up 8 spots, going to be in second. He'll be on the outside line front row for the restart. Dwayne MacArthur got shuffled to the back here a little bit. I see what happened. Kipfer came in for a 2-tire strategy on that one compared to everybody else's 4.
Interesting. 2-tire strategy. You know, I gotta wonder what benefit that would give him over the 4-tire strategy.
I believe it's entirely track position at this point. So they'll take right side tires to try and put some fresh rubber on that number 68 machine. But the biggest thing for him right now is, hey, you know what? We've seen a few cautions here tonight. Let's gain some track position, hold on to it for as long as we can. And then if we do get another caution or my green flag stop, if we have one, which we should around lap 160, 165 at the latest, then he'll come in for 4 tires. But I think right now Kipper's got to be banking on another caution and keeping that track position for as long as he can.
Yeah, a lot of these drivers, I think right now, they're either hoping for more cautions to come out during this race. That way they can kind of use that to their advantage, gain some positions here tonight. But another part of me wants to believe that a lot of these drivers are probably thinking to themselves, you know, we only have less than 90 laps to go, less than 80 laps to go, and it's, you know, you just want to get these last few laps in and try and secure what you can.
Pace car is about to come in. Gary Kipper, born in Indiana, currently living in Woodbine, Maryland. Getting out there and getting ready to hammer down. Pace car is in. All eyes are on Andrew Hess and Gary Kipper. Green flag is out. Away they go. Kipper does not get the launch he wants, but that's going to allow Andrew Hess to get a good launch. I don't think he's going to dive to the inside quite yet. He's going to hold it, try and get that high line working. As here comes Dwayne MacArthur moving his way to second. Kipper gets a shove, gets pushed out of the way there by, I believe, the 23, Josh Robinson. And Robinson, current points chase leader, is making his way up to third. Gets a little bit tight, almost gets to the number 72 of Travis Rogers, but they hold on to it. Oh, what an exciting opening lap here so far, Mason.
Yeah, James, these drivers are a lot of these drivers that have kind of been working their way back from the back of the pack. They've they're really they're really putting on a big effort here to try and get back into the top three here. And we're seeing Josh Robinson and Brian Glass in fourth and fifth right now. They're both just really working together to try and get into the first top three right now.
Now, Robinson, he sees Dwayne MacArthur 2 cars up in front of him. If MacArthur can finish in front of Robinson, that'll help him chip away at that point lead that Robinson currently has. But we've seen a fair amount of cautions tonight. Not many. We won't call it a lot by any stretch of the imagination. So he knows, hey, I got to keep this number 23 machine as clean as I can and just try and keep that points lead. But here comes Brian Glass, and number 87 dives it down low, getting very close to 72. Travis Rogers, I'm not sure if he's going to try and gain 2 spots here. He's aiming for it. Rogers throws a block on the inside, keeps Glass behind him. Some great racing from across the field here tonight.
Yeah, Travis Rogers in that number 72 machine, he's really doing his best to try and keep Brian Glass behind him. And I think that Brian Glass is he's definitely hoping that Travis Rogers is going to give him a little bit of slip up and hopefully get around him, but he's still got a little bit of a gap to close before he can pull that off. He's got a little bit of assistance with Josh Robertson behind him, but it's not much, and I don't think it's going to be enough to give him that position gain that he wants.
Now, Brian Glass, he's worked for Buck Baker's Seat Time Racing School since '97, so definitely very familiar behind the wheel. He's worked with Buck and Buddy Baker back in the day, and he's been online racing since the old Papyrus days. So another one of the OG racers racing since the mid to late 90s on sim racing. Still enjoying his passion out here today as we see him in the OBRL Metro Ford Cup Series, the premier series from OBRL, and very impressed. I mean, I can't say it enough. I'm very impressed with the talents of the drivers we have out here tonight. Most of these guys pretty much just run league racing, don't do a whole lot of official lobbies anymore. They enjoy the good, clean racing that OBRL provides instead of the potential bloodbath of the official series sponsored by iRacing.
Yeah, James, I gotta agree with you there. You know, if this was a iRacing official race right now, we would probably be well past the number of cautions that we have now, and it's just super great to see. We're actually seeing looks like Brian Glass start to get on the back of Travis Rogers there a little bit.
Yeah, gave him a big bump draft and moved his way up, but not sure if that came into a play as he wanted to. As you can see, Brian Glass to the inside of him. He's got Greg McDaniel in the number 30 machine. So Glass was driving pretty, I don't want to call it aggressively, but very firm, trying to get his way back up front, but seems that move kind of cost him some more spots than it did gaining him.
Yeah, it looks like it didn't really work out the way that he wanted it to, but he's definitely trying his best to make something happen here right now. He's still got looks like number 4 Mike Schrader behind him, giving him a little bit of draft support too going into these corners. It's going to be curious to see what he's going to be able to pull off here. I know that he's definitely been aiming for those top 3 positions now for quite some time, and I think he might be able to get into one of those positions if he can stay consistent here the rest of this race.
Consistency wins championships. You see Glass in 87. He's still up 2 spots from where he started. Mike Schrader, he's up 4 spots, and in front of Brian Glass, Greg McDaniel, number 30, he's up 7 spots. So these guys really jockeying it up. We're starting to see a little bit more bump drafting come into play as we get ready to approach lap 124. About 71 laps, 72 laps remaining in this race, and I still don't know how it's going to finish. We've seen so many lead changes, so many incidents that were unexpected. I do not know what's going to happen out here today.
Yeah, James, I got to agree with you there. It's definitely kind of up in the air right now as far as how this race is going to finish and what the top 3 finishers are going to look like. It's really, it could be anyone's race here at this point. We have a lot of really strong competitors out in front. I mean, you look at the top 5 right now, all of those drivers right now have the potential of securing that top 3 position.
And here comes the battle for the lead. Dwayne MacArthur is going to dive down inside of now second place, Andrew Hess in the 54. So MacArthur holding on to that machine, doesn't want to drift up too high and pinch off his buddy Hess, who's running the high line. As we're looking at a possible 3 wide here, as here comes Travis Rogers putting his nose in the mix, trying to figure out which line do we want to build up and get formed up. But it looks like right now they're doing a flying V and no one's really getting anywhere to go.
Looks like Travis Rogers is actually pushing Andrew Hess just a little bit to get out in front of Dwayne MacArthur. He's not able to do it quite yet, but he's getting real close, and I think if he continues pushing as hard as he is right now, he's going to be able to do it. But
oh, look at the lap traffic right there. Now he's in the mix. That's the number 67 of Steve Mule Thompson, doing his best to get out of the way of a fleet of drivers going 2 and almost 3 wide at several points. But yeah, Andrew Hess is going to maintain the lead after that big bump from, I believe it was Travis Rogers. That's going to cycle Dwayne MacArthur back to third. So MacArthur's got to do his best to get up there, or he may be happy following single file for a while and letting those guys burn off a little bit more fuel, a little bit more tires. We're still expecting one more pit stop around the lap 150 to 165 mark from these competitors. And then it's a shootout to the finish.
Yeah, I think a lot of these guys right now, they're thinking to themselves, you know, whether you're thinking from just a driver standpoint or a team standpoint, a lot of these guys have got to be thinking to themselves, you know, what can we do to really make a big win here tonight, whether it's just for an individual driver or just for the entire team. And man, it's like I said before, it's anyone's race at this point.
Yeah, as you see Dwayne MacArthur starting to get right on the rear bumper of Travis Rogers in 72. This is your battle for second. The lead pack separated by about 0.3 of a second. Not a lot of time between these drivers, and they are pushing hard on lap 128 of Chicagoland at the Metro Ford Cup Series. Here comes Dwayne MacArthur, going to dive into the inside of Travis Rogers. Can he make it stick going into turn 1? It looks like the inside line's got the draft support. Here comes Josh Robinson in the number 23 machine, seeing what spots he can gain.
Yeah, and Josh Robinson too. He's been a real strong competitor here these last about 30-40 laps. Honestly, the entire race, but these last few laps, he's just been really competing to try and get into the top 3. You kind of see him sneaking around every now and then. Oh, we got a little bit of...
Hold on to it, boys. Dwayne MacArthur, Travis Rogers, door to door, coming out of turn 4. That was extremely close.
Yeah, a little bit of contact possibly there out of the number 97 and number 72 cars there as they were side by side. But they both managed to keep it on track and keep it green as they're single file right now, trying to catch back up with Andrew Hess. And looks like Josh Robinson, he's really trying to find himself a position between these guys and get around one of them.
Robinson started off 4th, currently in 4th, trying to work his way up. Robinson, our current points leader for the championship series. He's a very consistent driver. That's what keeps him out front and in the points chase. Even if he's not winning all the time, he's consistently out there and at the closer to the pointy end of the results. But we see Robinson, looks like he's going to get left high and dry, I guess low and dry in that scenario, as the high line kind of leaves him there and doesn't want to drop in single file.
Yeah, and it looks like Brian Glass, too, is starting to put a little bit of pressure there on Travis Rogers. Or excuse me, looks like Josh Robinson. They're going to go side by side here. As Brian Glass is going to take over that number 4 position from Robinson.
Very good, clean racing. You see, you're watching the number 72, Travis Rogers, trying to chase down Dwayne MacArthur. Rogers currently in 3rd. Behind Rogers, Brian Glass, Greg McDaniel, Josh Robinson, all in our top 6 here. As we've got more passing going on, trying to see who's going to take that number 6 spot. Josh Robinson's trying to get around Greg McDaniel, but everybody's playing it very, very safely as these cars starting to tighten up. Nobody wants to push wide out of the corner.
Yeah, everyone's trying really, really hard right now to keep that inside line. As we get a little bit closer and closer to that last and final pit stop, it's, you know, these drivers are really, really going to have to focus here and stay on their A game as much as they can. With only a few laps, well, I don't want to say a few, but with it being this close to the end of the race, yeah, these drivers are definitely going to have an interesting last about 50, 60 laps.
I think it's about right. 60, yeah, we'll call it 60 laps once they cross the line here. Still lots of racing left. We know that the pit cycle's got to be coming up for these competitors. We know they can run to lap 160 or so. It's going to be a waiting game to see who's want to stretch it out the longest here. I'm expecting drivers to start coming in around lap 160 to 165. The longer they stay out, the fresher tires they'll have for the end. But conversely, if you don't want to put yourself down too far here in the field and find yourself too far back with fresh tires to make anything happen.
Yeah, I agree. And like we were saying before, the end of this race is still kind of up in the air as far as who's going to be the top 3 finishers for today's race. It's, with that one final pit stop coming into play here pretty soon, I think we're going to see another final shakeup here in the top probably 5 competitors here. It's going to be an amazing end of the race here.
Yeah, this is good, clean racing here on the field. Andrew Hess still out front, Dwayne MacArthur in second. They've been out front most of the day so far at Chicagoland, but I mean, like you said, we're still one pit stop away to really shake things up, and if we do get a late run caution, it's anybody's guess how this is going to shake down at the end. It could really be anybody in the top 10 still has a chance of bringing it home, especially as we come in for pit cycles or if we get a caution.
Yeah, and I think now that we've got a little bit further past the previous cautions that we've saw earlier, these drivers are doing a really good job now of just trying to stay green and stay clean. It looks like Tom Ogle is going to head into pit lane as well. Not sure what's going on there. But it's really just super awesome to see all these drivers coming out here today and pushing as hard as they are. Oh, and we actually have a caution.
Oh, here we go. Steve Mule Thompson involved in an incident, a late run caution. I'm not sure what the strategy is going to be here. I'm very confused. They may be able to stretch it to the end if they pit under caution, but let's grab this this replay of Steve Thompson having an incident. Number 67. Did he blow up? I think he blew up or ran out of gas. No, I think we might have seen a wall tap there. I'll tell you what we're gonna do. We're gonna go on board. Steve Thompson with a heavily damaged number 67 machine from an earlier incident. Yep, just like that, Steve Thompson lets the smoke out of the motor. Pulls in the clutch to try and get it around the racetrack. But he is going to come to a slow and sad halt, and that's going to bring out the caution. Looks to me like the field seems to be staying out right now.
Yeah, just a word too soon. And as we see all the drivers coming into pit lane here, James, like we've been saying, it's really going to be interesting to see what these drivers are going to try and do here. Now that we're lap 140 and everyone's coming into pit lane, it's going to be a real big shakeup today for these drivers.
Yeah, we said we can go about 50 to 60 laps at the absolute utmost on fuel. So I'm not sure what's going to happen here. They're going to be it's going to be very, very close to the line to see who has enough fuel to make it happen here. I'm intrigued. I'm not sure what's going to happen here, Mason.
Yeah, James, I'm just curious to see what these drivers are going to try and do here. With it being so close to the estimated pit lap, it's got to be wondering what are these drivers going to be thinking here? Are they going to get all fresh tires here now? Or are they going to fuel up here? Or are they going to... There's a lot of different questions that I have that I need answers to.
I think what's going to happen, and we're going to pan to Dwayne MacArthur, and we'll take it on board with him once he catches up to the pace car. I think you're going to hear a lot of drivers yanking in those clutches under pacing. Mike Schrader may have had an incident. Not sure what happened there. It showed him with a crash, but I'm not sure what happened to Schrader. Well, Schrader has a moment. Something let loose. Tie rod broke or something, the number 4 machine, and sends him around. That may delay the caution, which is not what these competitors want to see right now. They want to get out there and, all right, listen to this. Dwayne MacArthur gives a little bit of gas right around in 4th gear. I'm not going to lie, I was expecting more clutch work. There it is. Dwayne MacArthur, I believe he turned the entire car off. Fall in the pacing car, trying to eke out as much fuel as he possibly can. So this is going to be very interesting to see who has the fuel to make it all the way to the end.
Yeah, these drivers have really got to be probably thinking to themselves, what are they going to do for strategy here? I mean, some of them might be able to pull it off and make these the tires and fuel that they have last these last 60 laps here, but it's really going to be interesting to see if all of them are going to be able to do that. It's going to be a difficult race, I think, following this last incident here.
We've got 2 drivers eligible for the Hard Charger Award. That's Ken Huff in the number 46 machine. He's up 10 spots, as well as Dodd Hoskins, in the number 66 machine. So both of these guys up 10 positions. And I believe we see a Hoskins race car with the AARP logo on the back of it that says, "I'm old and you're slow." So I got it's a great paint scheme on the number 66. Yep, "I'm old, you're slow" is what it says on the bumper of that thing.
Yeah, I love the humor that a lot of these drivers have. A lot of these older guys, you know, they're here to have fun and just race and enjoy some times with their online friends, and it's always great to see the little humorous things that they do with their paint schemes. It's always great to see.
Yeah, a little way for the drivers to personalize their stuff.
But man, James, I really gotta wonder what are we gonna see here in these last 60-ish laps here? Are we gonna see all green laps? Or are we gonna see more cautions? Man.
I think if we see a caution, you're going to see most of the field come in. I don't know. You might see half the field come in and splash off so they know they can make it to the end. And I think I'm willing to bet you're going to see 3 drivers run out of gas at the end of this green flag run. That's my prediction. But the pace car is in. Green flag is out. Here we go. Dwayne MacArthur's on the inside line. Andrew Hess on the outside. This is the battle for the lead behind them. Brian Glass, Travis Rogers all in the mix, trying to get up there in front. Nobody wants to push too hard too early and burn up their fuel. I don't think anybody really wants to lead at this point and be the one burning up the most fuel.
Honestly, I gotta agree with you, James. It looks like everyone's a little hesitant to try and push here. It looks like everyone's kind of being a little conservative on their throttle here a little bit. Everyone's kind of just following either behind someone else and using that draft support. And as we're starting to see a lot of these drivers get into single file here, a little bit of a tap there too out of the 87 and number 72 cars.
Yeah, Brian Glass, Travis Rogers get a little bit side by side. Another one! Oh, hold on to it. There goes Travis Rogers for a wild ride. Keeps it green. That was a heck of a save.
Beautiful save.
So yeah, Brian Glass, Travis Rogers got in each other 2 laps or 2 corners in a row there, just giving a little bit of love taps, and that sent Travis Rogers careening off track. And look at Dwayne MacArthur. He's in second. I think he's in prime-time fuel-saving mode, knowing, hey, I got to be able to run this thing to the end. But meanwhile, Andrew Hess holding it wide open. He says, all right, I think I've got enough. Let's put down some flying laps here. But when Dwayne MacArthur and Andrew Hess slow down the field like that, it allows people to stack up behind him, and then it gets much more exciting.
Yeah, and I think we're gonna start to see a little bit of a bigger pack start to form up behind the lead pack here. And you're already starting to see it. A lot of these drivers are already single file behind them, just sort of using each other's draft support to kind of close the gaps. And we might even start to see some of these drivers go into single file or double file, excuse me, as we start to see with the number 76, and I believe that's going to be the number 30 car, Greg Daniel. And another caution is
yellow flag is out. There's a lot of people involved in that one. Chris Scales, Lewis Albee, Travis Rogers, all involved. We'll get the replay here for you. Right now, you're watching the invisible number 8, Chris Scales, and a Mandalorian paint scheme. Now we know Lewis Albee was involved in number 33. Travis Rogers involved in number 72. I'm not quite sure where the party starts to happen here. It looks like in front of them. Ah, there it is. Let's back that up just a little bit. So number 33 gets into the rear of the number 72, sends Travis Rogers hard into the wall. So that's good news for the guys out front. That's going to allow them to save a little bit of fuel here and keep chugging along as they go for many, many spins. And there goes the 79 careening out of the way, and there comes poor Chris Scales right into it as the 72 goes airborne to the absolute moon. The 72, Travis Rogers with a spectacular launch to orbit. And then gets right back on the gas.
Involved. Yeah, that was a very unfortunate crash there for those drivers involved there. And I think now the rest of the field is, you know, they might be thinking to themselves, okay, we have a little bit of breathing room now that we've kind of chopped off some laps here, and we're getting closer to that actual pit lane or pit lap that we want to hit. But
I think at this point, Mason, you're going to see the top guys try and stay out. So every time they can run around on caution, that's more opportunity to turn the cars off and coast a little bit. Except for Andrew Hess, who's out front. He may still be worrying a little bit, but I think it's going to make it more comfortable for the guys running in the top 5 on that same fuel strategy, thinking, you know what, every time we run a lap under caution, we save a little bit more fuel, and it gives us a better chance of making it to the end under green flag and not having to come in once more.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be very important for especially Andrew Hess, that if he can manage to stay out the rest of these laps, and if the rest of the field can keep the rest of the race green here, we're going to see some very interesting racing coming out of the top 5 pack here, I think.
And we have some different guys taking a little bit of a gamble. Al Turner, Brian Glass, Brian Lindsay, Ken Huff, John Hastings, Dean Greer, Rob Rogers, all coming in on lap 147 to pit and take tires and fix a little bit of damage. So all those guys are going to come out on a full tank of gas knowing, hey, we absolutely can hold it wide open until the very end here at Chicago. But it's going to be a gamble. Does Andrew Hess, Dwayne MacArthur have enough fuel to make it till the end? Or is it going to be somebody in the top 10 that took a gamble, did that late caution, that's going to be holding it wide open and letting her eat and might be able to come up front as this develops?
Yeah, there's going to be a little bit of a mix-up here in the field, I think. That's, you know, with a lot of these drivers out in front, most of the drivers actually, the top 9 drivers all pitted in lap 139, which you're going to see some very unique strategy, I think, come into play in these last few laps here. Looks like as we start to see, pace car is still out, still following around. Everyone's getting double file, and I think the pace car is going to be entering pit lane here any minute now.
Now, Josh Robinson, a veteran to the iRacing service, he's been a member since 2016, only has 513 official iRacing starts, which means he's been spending more of his time with leagues surrounding himself with like-minded individuals rather than throwing himself into the foray of public racing. So good to see Robinson running well tonight. Once again on the restart, it's going to be Dwayne MacArthur, Andrew Hess. Who's going to be the guy trying to take out front? We know these guys have a little bit more of a breathing room now that with the we've had those laps under caution and able to fuel save a bit more. But they still got to be wondering, how hard can I push before I run out of fuel on these race machines?
Yeah, it's these, man, it's these drivers are gonna definitely have to think about their strategy here, especially the drivers all in the front of the pack. They're they're really gonna have to be conservative on that throttle and not push as hard as they have been throughout the rest of this race. As pit or pace car goes back to the pit lane there,
Pace car is
and
in. Green flag is out. Andrew Hess gets a great launch, number 54. Dwayne MacArthur on the inside. It is a 44-lap shootout to the end of Chicago. Still, anything can happen, as we've seen. Looks like MacArthur gets a bit of a bump from Josh Robinson, pushing his way up to the front. Yellow flag is out. Mike Schrader goes for a ride. Michael Everhart involved. Oh, cautions breed cautions. Here we go for the incident replay, sponsored by Metro Ford. We're watching Mike Schrader in the number 4 machine. Schrader's on the outside up there. We know Michael Everhart also involved in the 17. So it looks like Everhart might have blown up there.
yeah, it looks like you saw a little bit of smoke coming out of the number 17 car, and slow down a little bit. And
Oh no, there's an incident in front of him. That was Mike Schrader. Now I'm perplexed. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to take it on board with the 17, Michael Everhart. Listen if that machine lets the smoke out. It did. Everhart blows up, causes another incident that Mike Schrader unfortunately just got collected and nowhere to go. A lot of guys running out of coolant, I guess, out here tonight and blowing up those machines on a hot July 4th. As you see more and more drivers coming into pit lane, topping off on fuel. And our lead guy is still going to stay out. Dwayne MacArthur, Josh Robinson staying out here so far. And oh boy, what an exciting race on July 4th.
yeah, I agree with you, James. It's just been absolutely interesting from start to about the three-quarter way mark here. It's, man, the first portion of the race is it was just all green. It was really great racing. And then we started to see more and more of those yellow flags come out, kind of toward the midway mark of the race there. And I gotta wonder if that's just part of driver fatigue. Maybe drivers are just getting a little bit too comfortable behind the wheel and not staying as focused as they probably should be. There's a lot of different little things that I think come into play for these drivers, and it's a lot of the drivers that are out in the front of the pack right now, they're doing a great job of maintaining where they're at, and hopefully we'll see that consistency the rest of this race here.
Yeah, I'm in 100% agreement with you. I think driver fatigue's got to be playing an issue. We're about an hour and 30-something minutes into the actual race itself. The practice lobby opened up at 10 a.m. today, so a lot of these drivers have been in their sim rigs for several hours at this point. So fatigue's coming into effect. The cars keep tightening up. And then some of the guys might have been running too much tape or took front-end damage early on in the event, not able to get cool air on the front of their cars, as we've seen several guys blow up. Stephen Thompson, he probably blew up due to damage he had on his machine. And I think Everhart may have just been stuck in the draft. I didn't see him involved in any incidents earlier on today in the number 17, so not quite sure why that thing let loose. Maybe too much tape, maybe not getting able to get out of the draft, but hate to see that for Mike. That's a very, very rough luck.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate. I believe that's the second engine blowout that we've had this race so far, and it just makes me wonder, it kind of makes you realize how hard these drivers are actually pushing these cars. A lot of these drivers are really trying to make their way up the field as much as they can, and their cars are definitely taking the toll for it.
Yeah, I fully agree. Stephen Thompson, he blew up due to damage. Not quite sure what happened to Everhart. We'll maybe try and send somebody down to the pit lane and get a word from his crew chief here in a moment. But hate to see it. Mike Titanium Everhart in the 17 machine, a very likable guy. Everybody likes him on and off the track. So really hate to see that for Mike. He was having a good run today and progressively working his way up the field. Just not having the luck that he wanted. Now, Everhart, this is ironic to read now, and I'm sorry, Michael, this is terrible timing, but in his bio it says, born with a wrench in his hand. Thanks to his dad, he's been a wrench turner for 42 years and retired from UPS in 2017. So unfortunately, Everhart going to have to put those wrench skills back to use to fix that number 17 machine before next week, as he finds himself with an early day here today.
Yeah, Michael Everhart definitely not having the race that he probably wanted to have today, but hopefully after today he'll kind of take this as a lesson learned. Maybe he realized a couple things that he could do differently for next race, and take that into next week, and hopefully see a better race for him next week.
We're going to stack them up once more here at Chicagoland. Next week, we'll be at Atlanta Motor Speedway for, I believe it shows 195 laps, a very aggressive race service on that one. That's my home track here in Georgia. But pace car is in. Dwayne MacArthur. Josh Robinson finds himself out front now. Green flag is out, and away they go.
Josh Robertson with a little bit of a nice start there. He's got a little bit of support from Andrew Hess, kind of pushing him a little bit forward there. And it looks like Dwayne MacArthur now is going to be battling with Andrew Hess for that number 2 position as they go side by side here behind Josh Robinson. And Josh Robertson too, I don't think we've seen him out in the front yet today. Maybe we have, only for a little bit. But he's definitely going to be working overtime now that he's out in front, trying to stay ahead of all these other drivers and hopefully maintain that strategy that all these other drivers are trying to work with right now.
Now, Robinson is our current points leader, and you're correct. This is the first time he's been out front all day long. Behind him, Andrew Hess, Dwayne MacArthur trying to chase down our current points leader. If they can finish in front of him, they'll at least gain some points instead of getting a bigger gap. But here we go, side by side, Dwayne MacArthur, Andrew Hess battling for second place. Here comes Greg McDaniel trying to make it a 3-car party, as it looks like MacArthur's going to get a little bit of room to breathe here. Now Greg McDaniels gets to battle with Andrew Hess. It just keeps getting deeper and deeper into the field. This is allowing Josh Robinson, he's got about a half-second gap on second place, Dwayne MacArthur. And I don't know what's going to happen here.
Yeah, James, it's really up in the air right now what this race is gonna show us here. We got a bit of a pack kind of piling up behind Josh Robertson, but he's just got a massive gap between the rest of the pack here. And if he can hold that for as long as he can, it's going to work out for him pretty well, I think. But, you got Dwayne MacArthur and Greg McDaniel behind him. They're both, Greg McDaniel's giving MacArthur a little bit of draft support. And you actually got Andrew Hess behind them as well, kind of falling in behind them. And it's, that I think that gap might get close here pretty quickly if these guys can continue to support one another.
Yeah, if these single file cars can stay where they're at, they can chip away at that half-a-second gap that Josh Robinson has. But right now, I don't think these guys are too worried about it. They're all battling for position, as I believe that's going to be Andrew Hess diving down the inside. He's going to try and make a pass on Al Turner in the 76. They touch, they get loose. They hold on to it. A big moment for the number 54 and the number 76, Al Turner. Turner's up 11 spots so far here tonight, doing a great job getting back out front. But these guys know they've only got 35 laps left here on the raceway. They've got to start working together to try and push Dwayne MacArthur, Greg McDaniel up front to get a shot at the lead. But I don't think that's going to be happening anytime soon.
Yeah, it doesn't look like some of these drivers are kind of working with each other the way that we'd like to see, especially with these teams. It's with only a little over 30 laps to go. I mean, yeah, a lot of these drivers are probably thinking, I just want to get to whatever position that I can and hold it. But I mean, there's got to be some sort of communicating going on. I guess mentally that something has to be done here to get these other drivers out in front, give them the lead that they want.
This may shake up the points chase for the Manufacturers Cup as well. Toyota only has an 11-point gap over Chevy. And right now, 2nd through 6th, all Chevrolets with the lone Toyota out front. So Josh Robinson doing a good job getting his Manufacturers Cup out there and charging hard. As we see John Hastings, he's come to the pit lane. He's thinking, I'm not going to have it on gas. Let's go ahead and bring it in. But looks like that gap's still growing. Josh Thompson has that half-second gap over 2nd place, Dwayne MacArthur. I'm not sure what's going to happen here because Dwayne MacArthur's kind of in no man's land. He's got about a 0.3-second gap over 3rd place, Greg McDaniel. As we get closer and closer towards the finish line, 30 laps to go. A lot of hard racing left out here today.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of competition coming out of these drivers here in the front of the pack. A lot of them seems to be pushing a little bit harder than they have been throughout this race. We're starting to see just kind of wider and wider gaps between some of these drivers here, especially in the top 3. You know, it's really going to be a game of who is going to maintain this level of driving through the rest of this race. You know, are we going to see another caution come out? It's going to be a tense last few laps here.
And I still have to wonder, does Josh Robinson have enough fuel to make it to the end? He should be able to. His last pit was on lap 139, but then we had a string of cautions following that. So I'm still not sure if fuel is going to be an issue for these drivers or what's going to happen as Dwayne MacArthur starting to reel in the number 23 Toyota. This lead pack really starting to tighten up here, as we're going to really shake things up. It's going to be lap 167 as we cross the line. No one yielding anything out there.
No one's giving any sort of let up to anyone around them, and it's just super impressive to see these drivers pushing as hard as they are right now. Everyone's kind of just following each other single file. No one's trying to get risky and go double file right now, but we might see that change here very quickly as this front pack. Ooh.
Greg McDaniel has a moment, has to drop down to the inside of the racetrack. That's going to allow Brian Glass by Andrew Hess and possibly Al Turner, who's carrying a little bit more speed on that outside line. So, poor Greg McDaniel not having what he wanted, a big moment towards the end. He's going to have to work his way back up front. As Al Turner, number 76, he sees the spot. Al is up 10 spots so far tonight, holding it wide open on the number 76 machine. Seeing if he can get clear of Brian Glass and put himself firmly in that top 5 spot. Currently running 5th, but he wants the 4th. It's right in front of him. He knows he can get it. Is not sure what the plan is for some of these drivers.
Yeah, some of these guys have really got to be thinking to themselves, what can I do to make something happen here today? And it's clock's ticking. A lot of these drivers don't have a lot of time left to make something happen. You know, and we still have the top 3, Josh Robertson, Dwayne MacArthur, and Andrew Hess. They all have their last pit was lap 139. And I think there's a very good chance that we'll see one or two of these drivers, or maybe even all of them, drop out and head into pit lane to maybe top off on fuel a little bit to finish the last few laps here, because they've got to be kind of pushing that car kind of hard to stay out in front here, and that fuel saving is probably not doing them any favors.
No, it's a big battle for the lead as well. I mean, we're really jockeying for position. We saw Dwayne MacArthur fall off just a little bit. Second, Josh Robinson in first, but all these guys shuffling back and forth trying to make something happen here, as this is a heck of a battle. I believe it's 7 cars in this lead pack, really pushing. Behind them, a big gap to 8th place, Dodd Hoskins. He's running 8th. He's up 10 spots. Ken Huff right behind him in 9th of 15 positions today. So a lot of things still left to go as we start to see 2 big packs really forming up here at Chicago.
Yeah, and this front pack has really just been kind of staying as close together as possible as they can. Pretty much the entire race. We've kind of seen these almost like 2 to 3 different packs. You've had the front pack and the middle, and then everyone in the back. It's really impressive to see all these drivers kind of working the way that they are to stay in the packs that they're in. You're not seeing a whole lot of drivers kind of falling behind too much. You don't see anyone kind of like by themselves in between packs or anything like that. And I love to see that. I always love to see drivers always kind of working together to push each other as much as they can instead of just kind of lulling about.
Yeah, unfortunately, that second pack's only got 4 cars in it. They're going to have to really work hard to try and catch up to that lead pack. You see him doing a good job on that wide-angle shot, trying to run single file. But if that lead pack keeps running single file, they're going to check out. They just have much more momentum than the cars behind them. But the battles keep happening up here. Right now, you see Dwayne MacArthur trying to hold off Al Turner. It's the battle of the Canadians, as it looks like Dwayne's got his hands full. He's got Brian Glass to his outside. Behind him, Al Turner watching and waiting. Brian Glass, Al Turner, both pitted on lap 147, so they for sure have the fuel to run out to the end wide open, no fuel saving needed, and just ever so slightly fresher tires as the battle for third keeps getting heated back here. Brian Glass in third, Dwayne MacArthur fourth, Al Turner in fifth.
Yeah, you know, and I gotta wonder myself too that Brian Glass, his last pit lap was 147, and he's on those fresher tires than the rest of the front pack here, and I wonder if that's kind of giving him an advantage. It most likely is over the other drivers here right now. He's able to kind of push the car a little bit more than what these other drivers are able to right now, but not much. He's still going to have his work cut out for him, trying to stay out in front here, but he's doing a really good job so far. He's out in third place right now, and I think he's going to probably stay there. He might even work his way up to either the second or first position if he gets a little bit of draft support from Dwayne MacArthur behind him. But Dwayne MacArthur, I don't think has any intentions of giving him any help. I think he just wants to get around him and secure his third spot if he can.
Yeah, I mean, granted, it's only 8 laps difference on that fuel and tire strategy, but 8 laps can really help you out when a percent of a percent really matters when the racing's this close. As Brian Glass still holding off Dwayne MacArthur, Al Turner trying to drop in line, see what he can figure out here. And Josh Robinson's got a very solid lead right now over Andrew Hess. Doesn't look like Hess is pressuring too much, but here comes Brian Glass. He is charging, working his way up to the working his way up to second place. Can Glass get in the mix and run down the leaders? I'm not sure. Dwayne MacArthur looks to the inside. Glass doing his best to stay in the draft. He really needs that push from MacArthur if MacArthur is willing to give it to him to pull their way back up to the lead pack. Only 18 laps to go as Josh Robinson putting on a show and showing why he is the current points leader for the Metro Ford Cup Series.
Yeah, you know, and I think Josh Robertson too, I think he probably had the best strategy of tonight. Like we said before, this is the first time that he's been leading the pack here today in this race, and I think there might have been a bit of strategy involved in that, not starting all the way out in front and not trying to lead the pack before that first pit stop, because as we've all seen, you know, sometimes it can work out for you if you can plan it right, but I think Josh Robertson definitely had a lucky day today, and he was able to kind of play all of the yellow flags and everyone pitting. He definitely used all of that to his advantage to kind of work his way back up to the front of the pack, and he's very comfortable where he's at right now, and I don't think anyone's going to be able to catch up to him and overtake him anytime soon.
A lot of great racing going on from across the field. You're watching Brian Lynch, number 15 machine, trying to hold on to a top 10. Behind him, he's got Ken Huff, Brian Lindsay, all battling for position. This is that second pack of cars we talked about earlier. They have pretty much all given up on following single file and trying to catch the leader. They're going to hold down and score some much-needed points. Dodd Hoskins, he is up still 10 positions. And then our current hard charger has got to be Brian Lindsay, the number 24 machine. Lindsay is up 16 positions tonight. So a lot of good racing and guys having a little bit of luck fall their way and some great strategy being developed, allowing them to stay out front.
Yeah, all these drivers today have been just doing an excellent job of working with what they can. And given all the cautions that have happened today, it's just been it's been a real good race to see today. These drivers have all just worked so hard. Oh, a little bit of a tap there out of the, looks like number 76 got into the number 97 car there just a little bit, but they were able to stay on track there, stay on course, and keep racing here.
We did get reports from the number 3's crew chief, Pete Kopko, had mechanical hardware issues again that took him out of the race. The number 3 having a very rough night. You hate to see it for him, but at least Peter did make the highlight reel with the massive air of the number 3. Peter's going to have to start selling sponsorship ads on the bottom of the race car, but that was some darn good TV time here today.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think there was... I think that was one of the best crashes that I've seen so far in my time as in broadcasting. That was definitely very, very interesting to watch. Unfortunate for the number 3 car, Pete Kopko. It's, you know, these drivers have all been racing really hard today, and it's, you know, to be put out of the race due to a mechanical hardware issue, that's a big bummer.
Yeah, these guys put in so much work throughout the week to put down good lap times, and they come out here and want to put on a good showing. But just like real life racing, you can really have some issues that really take you out of the race, and that's outside of your control. I mean, that's why it's a sim racer and not an arcade game. Anything can happen, as we see Pete Kopko just having not the night he wanted to with a couple mechanical issues that put him out.
Yeah, and you know, at the start of the race too, he was doing a pretty decent job, I think. I think he wanted to have a good race today, and I you know, hopefully between the time of next week's race, he'll be able to get those issues sorted out and won't have it be an issue for this next few races here in this series.
Still battling hard out front. You're watching Brian Glass trying to fend off Dwayne MacArthur. This is your battle for third right here. In front of Brian Glass, Andrew Hess has about 0.4 seconds gap. Josh Robinson's got 0.8 seconds. All of these guys getting a little bit strung out in the top 3. Josh Robinson's looking at a very comfortable spot. It's going to be 9 to go once he crosses the line. But behind them, anything is all but certain. As you see, pretty much the top 6, 7 drivers really within a blanket's throw of each other. It's the top 7. So all trying to jockey it out, see what they can pick up here as we close down the laps left in Chicagoland.
10 laps to go, James. I think so far we've seen an excellent race here today. Quite a few shakeups throughout the field, and it's unfortunate for a lot of these drivers that have been involved in these incidents that have put them out of the race. And hopefully next week they'll be able to come back and put on a better race. But for these drivers that are out here now, Josh Robertson, Andrew Hess, Brian Glass, Dwayne MacArthur, they're all just doing a great job right now. They've all just been top competitors throughout the race. Dwayne MacArthur especially, he's just been out in the front of the field this entire race, just trying to do what he can, make something happen, and hopefully he'll be able to pull something off here with these last 8 laps to go here, He's, you know, with Josh Robertson and Andrew Hess, they're still a little bit too far ahead, I think, to make any sort of big gains. But if he can maintain what he's got now, he can pull something off here, I think.
Yeah, Andrew Hess got within 0.2 seconds of Josh Robinson there for a moment. Looked like he was going to have a pass. He's starting to get the momentum driving. I'm not sure if we're going to see Hess try and make a move. 7 laps to go as they cross the line. Oh, things are really starting to develop. Josh Robinson still out front, getting pressured by Andrew Hess. Hess still has about a half-second gap over third place Brian Glass. Brian Glass bumping and grinding with Dwayne MacArthur. But this is the battle for the lead right now. It's going to be 6 to go once they cross the line. Can Josh Robinson hold on to it for a win, or will it be Andrew Hess? And meanwhile, Brian Glass, Dwayne MacArthur go side by side. 2 by 2 as they cross the start-finish line. Dwayne MacArthur, all the top 3, their last pit stop was on lap 139. Behind them, most of the guys pitted on lap 147. 6 laps to go. It'll be 5 to go at the line. Not sure what's going to happen. Andrew Hess, Josh Robinson, that 1 and 2 driver out there, have extended the gap again over on Dwayne MacArthur. Still not sure if MacArthur and those other top 5 drivers are going to have the time to get up front, or if they're going to battle for the top 5, as Andrew Hess is hoping for a push from MacArthur, trying to reel in a race leader, Josh Robinson.
Yeah, definitely, James. I'm on the edge of my seat right now, wondering who is going to come out on top here. We have MacArthur making his way all the way to 3rd position, getting around Brian Glass. He's quickly trying to get behind Andrew Hess here and possibly make something happen. He's definitely trying his hardest to get out in front here as much as he can. With 4 laps to go now, he's definitely going to have not much time left to make something happen here. It looks like Andrew Hess is going to pull just a little bit ahead, but they're going to go side by side here just a little bit, and he falls back behind them.
So Dwayne MacArthur all over the rear bumper, the number 54 Chevrolet. They are slowly whittling away that gap over Josh Robinson, but with only 4 laps to go, it's going to be 3 at the line. I'm not sure if we're going to see those 2nd and 3rd place of Andrew Hess, Dwayne MacArthur push towards the front, or if they're going to just battle for position back here. It looks to me like that gap is still about 0.4 seconds when these drivers are going through the corners here. 3 laps to go. I don't think there's going to be enough time to catch Josh Robinson, who's been a man on a mission here. But, oh, this is the battle for 2nd, and it's going to be a good one.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be, really, really hard fight these last 2 laps here. Josh Robinson, he's definitely comfortable where he's at right now. I don't think he's going to have too much to worry about unless the Andrew Hess and MacArthur can kind of catch up to him
Here we go, just as you say it. It's a 3-way battle for the lead. Josh Robinson out front, behind him Andrew Hess, Dwayne MacArthur go side by side down the backstretch. Might have made that move too early in the race. They should have pushed up a little bit more before they made that gutsy pass. It's going to be white flag, will be flying here at Chicagoland. Not sure if we're going to see it shake it up. Can Josh Robinson hold off Andrew Hess, Dwayne MacArthur? They've been driving the wheels off of those Chevrolets. Or can Toyota extend that manufacturer's lead? MacArthur dives to the inside. Andrew Hess. They're side by side down the backstretch. Oh, what's going to happen? Dwayne MacArthur goes for the inside pass. He makes it stick. Checkered flag should be waving this time by. Checkered flag is out. It's going to be Josh Robinson out front. Dwayne MacArthur looks like he has 2nd, but can Andrew Hess dive down the inside here? And I'm not quite sure where they finished. I believe it's Josh Robinson out front, Dwayne MacArthur 2nd. So I believe that is going to be the finishing order tonight here.
Yeah, James. Looks like, Josh Robinson 1st, Dwayne MacArthur 2nd, and Andrew Hess finishing 3rd today. Absolutely a mix-up of the final pole here. It's amazing race here today, honestly. It's, with all the cautions that happened throughout this race, it really could have been anyone's race, and I think that these drivers here today, they definitely made their name stand out today.
Great performance from all of our competitors as they take a picture at the line. Josh Robinson, a well-deserved victory burnout here at Chicago as he's going to light up the rear tires of that Micro Center sponsored Toyota Camry. A well-done finish here tonight. Great racing from across the board, and I'm very, very impressed with the caliber of drivers we have out here tonight. A lot of great racing that was shown all night long. As we're going to take a look at your unofficial results. Josh Robinson out front, Dwayne MacArthur 2nd, Andrew Hess in 3rd, Brian Glass 4th, Al Turner bringing it home in 5th, Dakota Pischke in 6th, Greg McDaniel 7th, Dodd Hoskins 8th, Brian Lindsay 9th, and then Ken Huff will round out our top 10. We're going to wait for our drivers to get into the broadcast waiting room. We've got our rookie of the night, Jonathan Green and the 111 sponsored Oakley machine. Green, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is your first race in the Metro Ford Cup Series.
Will be the second race.
Second race. I'm sorry, I missed it on the broadcast or the results. So Green, you had a big moment. It looked like somebody got into the wall and then tagged into you, but for the most part, kept it very clean out there. How did it go from your point of view?
It seemed fairly smooth for a long time. I know that these guys are very fast, and trying to learn what I can from them. I thought I was doing well towards the end, put myself in good position to have fresher tires than everybody in front of me, and my headset died and scrambled like crazy trying to figure that out.
Well, Green, it happens to the best of us. We just want to hop or grab you in the booth really quickly and try and get a report, I guess, from one of the rookies. Now, Green, as newcomers to the OBRL series as well for us as broadcasters, how many more races do you have to do before you get that prestigious 2-digit number out there?
They require 6 in one division or 12 all around. So I think I've ran 5 or 6 races throughout the 3 series I've run in now. So getting closer.
Awesome. Well, we look forward to seeing you with that double digit and a well done job tonight, my friend.
Thanks for being on board.
All right. Up next, we've got Andrew Hess bringing it home in third place in the 54 machine. Andrew, you read me? You got your ears on, Andrew.
Yes.
There we go. Now I can hear you. Andrew, great run tonight. You guys are really battling hard for those top positions. Did tonight go how you expected it, or was it kind of shaken up for you?
Kind of hoping it was more like the last time we ran here where we were able to kind of run side by side even with the draft, but it seemed like the dirty air, once the tires kind of got worn, kind of controlled everything.
Yeah, I got very excited. We saw cars starting to get tight, pushed to the outside, but did a great job of keeping that number 54 machine clean. Any change of program you're going to do going into next week, or are you happy where you're at?
I'm happy where I'm at as long as you get the top 5 finishes, give you a chance for a win, and you keep moving forward.
Well, awesome. Looking forward to see you hopefully again on the podium as we go to Atlanta Motor Speedway. Before we let you go tonight, Andrew, anybody you'd like to thank that might be watching along or supporting you from across the world?
I'd like to thank all the family and all the men and women that serve in the military that allow us to enjoy holidays like this.
Always a pleasure, Andrew. We'll hopefully see you in the podium spot next week as well.
Thank you.
All right, up next we've got second place, Dwayne MacArthur, our fastest Canadian of the night. Dwayne, do you read me?
Yeah, I got a copy.
Dwayne, great run tonight. Does some great battling for those top 3 spots after a lot, or not a lot, but a fair amount of yellows. Did you expect to see so many cautions tonight, or was it a kind of an expectation for you?
No, I expected this one to go green. Those cautions at the end really surprised me.
And Dwayne, I have one question for you. So during this race, you were putting on a very good performance tonight. What were you kind of hoping to finish out tonight? Were you expecting to finish second, or were you hoping to finish first? What were you kind of thinking tonight?
Oh, I showed up here. I wanted that first place. I spent most of the night mostly riding around behind whoever was out there. Clean air was kind of king, but I was really hoping to take first place.
Well, Dwayne, always a pleasure having you up here in the broadcast booth and talking to you on and off the track. Before we let you sign off for the day and enjoy your July 4th festivities, anybody you'd like to thank, sponsors, friends watching along from home?
Yeah, absolutely. Just want to say hi, friends and family, anybody watching it, and big shout out to my sponsor, REG Customs. Check them out at regcustoms.weebly.com. Go check them out. They make custom die casts, and they support me, so real big thank you to them.
Awesome, Dwayne. We'll hopefully see you back up here in the podium at Atlanta Motor Speedway next week.
Yeah, you bet. Hey, before you toss me out, I just want to shout out to Gary Corbett too. He's a fellow OBRL member, fighting some health issues, and just wanted to let him know if he is listening that we're all thinking about him.
Absolutely. We'll all keep Gary in our thoughts. Thank you, Dwayne.
You bet. Thanks, guys.
Up next, the man of the hour, Josh Robinson, bringing it home in the number 23 Toyota Camry, extending your points lead on the championship. You've got to be feeling good after that one, Josh.
Yeah, that turned out way better than I thought it was. Early in probably the first and second fuel runs, I was between fifth and 10th the whole time. And then all of a sudden we had to restart, and there I was.
Yeah, and Josh, I gotta ask you, throughout the first portion of the race, you weren't really leading out in the front of the pack, but then you came out after I believe I think it was the first pit lap. You started to put on a heck of a show here. What kind of gave you that drive to get out on front and come out first today?
Nice and easy at the beginning, just kind of learn how my tires are going to get managed. And then once you get them settled in and realize what line you can drive, then it's go time.
Well, Josh, a fantastic performance tonight, extending that points championship. Before we let you go tonight, enjoy your barbecue on the 4th. Anybody you'd like to thank? Sponsors, friends, family watching along at home? The floor is yours.
I'd like to thank you guys for putting on this broadcast. That's pretty cool. The OBRL League, great league with a bunch of great drivers. It's just a blast every time we run. And then my two sponsors, Ogles Auto Sales out of Worcester, Ohio, and then Micro Center, just local computer store.
Awesome, Josh. A great pleasure. We'll see you next week at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Have a great 4th of July, my friend.
You guys have a good 4th.
All right, Mason, that's going to wrap us up, my friend. The first time broadcasting one of the OBRL Metro Ford Premier Cup Series. A great run. Very talented drivers. What did it look like from your point of view?
Honestly, James, it was a great, excellent race. Honestly, it was probably one of my favorite races to watch so far in my time broadcasting. It was just super impressive to watch all these drivers come out here today and race the way that they did. Everyone put on an excellent performance, and given the few cautions that we had, I definitely look forward to more of this series.
Well, gentlemen, Mason, always a pleasure having you in the booth. To all our new friends at OBRL, it was a great pleasure calling your race tonight. A fantastic performance. We look forward to bringing you the action next week, same time, same place, Atlanta Motor Speedway. On behalf of Team Goon Squad Broadcasting, OBRL Racing, and Metro Ford, I'd like to thank you all for tuning in tonight. Have a great 4th of July, and we'll see you next week.